Last night, we saw what sort of perils await the drivers in these fast and frenetic heat races. Getting up front, having a friend, and avoiding trouble seem to be key factors. Will tonight have similar results? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch the first heats of the 2023 Podium 500, and you'll see it all live here on Podium Esports. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Rachel Whiteford and Derek Watson. Behind the scenes is our director, Gary, and we will be using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Now, Daytona has already seen action with last night, and of course, it was a lot of action. It's a lot to go through, but we learned a lot of lessons, Rachel. The drivers found out exactly what they're up against with each other, what kind of things they need to do good up front, and also what kind of problems they need to avoid.
This is the thing, Daytona is a track everyone thinks they know so well, but the race is never the same every time. Now, we've got some new factors coming into this one, and let's not forget, the weather last night was pretty rough, and it's worse tonight. That is going to be a big factor. We're gusting to 25 miles an hour right now. That is a big impact. That will really change how this racing goes. They had that the other night, and let's not forget, things have changed with the cars, so we're going to really see them all learning through this.
Absolutely, and if you haven't learned about this track yet, we do have a bit of an intro to Daytona, so let's go over the track map here to introduce you to this place. 2.5 miles in length, the first of the super speedways other than Indianapolis, but obviously the first of those high-banked ones that you see here in the U.S. 31 degrees, which creates this pack racing that is completely unique to this track. So drivers who are skilled here tend to be very skilled here and at Talladega because they are so specific. And speaking of specific, this is a format that we really don't see a whole lot here, Derek. What are they up against for these 5 races?
Yeah, this is a format that's fun. It's $50 to win, so $50 for our heat winners. It's a 20 lap, so it's 50 miles or 80.4 kilometers. There'll be no green-white checkers throughout these races tonight. Well, it is a fixed setup with one fast repair and a 17-point incident limit is the rules here. Now, the top 5 will advance directly to the duels on Saturday afternoon. P6 through 13, you'll go to the LCQs on Saturday morning. The rest of you can sit back with the rest of us on Twitch and watch it live for the rest of the weekend on Podium Esports.
Indeed, and this is going to be important because tonight, basically, if you don't make it, you're done. And for the rest of the weekend, you'd have to just sit and watch everybody else out there try to compete. We're in the qualifying currently. The other thing I find interesting here, Rachel, is that it's single lap qualifying out here. So it's one and done, and they've got to get it done quickly. Most of them seem to want to qualify last night because it seems like the race is so short. They're not using the typical start from the back strategy.
You can't afford to at 20 laps. You've got to really be in a good attacking position because 20 laps, if it stays green, is gone in a blink of an eye. I don't think that will be the case tonight, but you do need the qualifying position. It will make a big difference. Now, start from the back. It does work in a 200 lap race, which we might see happen during the actual 500. Because you can go up and down the field several times. Here, that will not be the case. We'll have to see how it plays through. But at the moment, it's going to be a matter of just try and keep it clean. Do not be in the wreck. There will be one. Don't be in it.
Absolutely. We didn't go without cautions in any of them. In fact, the fewest cautions we had last night was 2, and that was the very first race. And then we only had a single one finish under green. That'll be something to think about here, Derek, is the fact that if you're not up at the front and it's about 5 or 4 laps to go, you kind of got to get there because you can't leave it to chance to try and pull that last lap snipe.
Yeah, that's very true, Joe. And it's all about strategies and how you think you want to be involved in this race. Some drivers, like Rachel said, you want to be up front, you want to lead. You think the front's the safer part, it's only 20 laps. There's other drivers, though, who maybe want to sit back, let that first wreck happen, let it sort itself out, and then slowly make your way towards the front. No need to get there instantly. So there'll be 2 different strategies in play, and we'll see which one proves successful for these drivers.
Hey, just to jump in here before we go to the what we're talking about, Joe, something I forgot to mention a second ago with the 1 lap qualifying. That's a big difference because typically your fastest lap on Daytona is number 2. not number 1. Typically, if you've got 2 laps to qualify, you burn lap 1 by running high the whole time to build momentum. They don't have that.
Exactly. A little bit slower times because of that, because they can't quite build up the speed. But the times are extremely close because of that as well. And you can see here that as the time ticks down, our qualifying has finished. So we're going to be going to that grid in a second. The first of 5 races tonight for our competitors. And of course, up at the top, Cosmin Ionescu will be on the pole. Donovan Strauss, we've had a lot of black stripe drivers already, and Donovan carrying that banner for this one will be starting on the front row. Hamilton Akubueze is going to be starting in the 3rd position. Jesse Atchison will be P4, as Jason Rajcock will be in 5th. Matthew Baker starts P6 today. Then you've got Jimmy Reynolds in 7th and Jeff Merck in 8th. Row 5 will be Jaden Carter on the inside and Dennis Ansman on the outside. Rachel, what about the next 10?
11th place is Kevin Champagne, with 12th place being Nash Brambilla. 13th, Paul McClellan. We've got Ty Bass in 14th. Logan Slavosky in 15th place, with Tim Wortman Jr. 16th. Jay Cook 17th, with Brandon Key in the 18th spot. Behind them, it is Drew White and Andrew Davis rounding out your top 20.
And then picking up at P21, we got Andrew Oquendo in P21 with Jonathan Cross next to him. Dylan D. Thomas and Ambrose Knebel would be 23 and 24. Austin Paul and Michael Meredith pick up 25 and 26. And then 27, Justin Champagne, Alan Wilson, and then Mike Wheel will round out here with the did not qualify time.
Do you think Wilson and Wheel might not be taking part? We did have a couple times last night where drivers signed up into the wrong split, so they might be
they're
waiting
not here.
for them. Yeah, they're not in the session, so I think it might only be 27. They're going to be out
Justin
there
Champagne's not here either. Sorry, I'll cut you off, Joe. It might be 26.
Gotcha. Okay, so 26 drivers. That'll still be plenty of action. As we said, so much happens, and a lot of it is going to be dependent on if you can stay out of trouble out here as we wait for them to take off on the pace lap for the second day of heat races. They want to be in the top 5 to try to advance, because that will automatically take them into the duels. Now, if you finish within the top 13 but outside the top 5, then you still get a chance with the last chance qualifier, but it's a little bit more nerve-wracking because things can still end quite quickly there. And then, of course, if you're outside those top 13, that is it for the weekend for you. And we'll see which of our drivers will go home with their hands empty and who will get $50 here today. So, Rachel, they start to prepare. I wonder if anybody's got any nerves here, especially after watching last night and how many fell victim to the wrecks and how many cautions we had.
I think you're an idiot if you come into Daytona without nerves. It's the track that is the great equalizer. This and Talladega, they are the great equalizer. Everyone can hold their foot down and turn left. It can be that simple to most people. In fact, it is. It is easy to drive. Unfortunately, for people who can drive and who are fast, it means they know that other people who are not as quick as them can catch up to them and stay with them and get right up to their door. That means you're around people who know him just enough to be dangerous, and boy will they be.
You know, Joe, a great analogy for this of what Rachel's talking about that some people might relate to. There's this theory amongst people who ride motorcycles. The day you stop respecting the motorcycle is the day you need to get off of it. The day you don't fear racing in Daytona is the day that you're going to have a bad day at it.
Yeah, I think that is a fair comparison right there. And we definitely saw a few that had to learn that lesson the hard way last time at this track with the heat. So it looks like the pace car is heading in. Cosmin has control of the field in the number 84, and the green flag is out immediately as they start to pick up speed. It's the 6th heat here for the Podium 500. Let's watch.
Great start, lanes being nice and stable. Back. So guys,
on the low line. It looks like Hamilton, well, it was leading that bottom line, but now Donovan is going to pop out and decide that he wants to try and take the front point. So, as they continue on here on to lap 2, so far, it's been relatively orderly here, Derek, and one driver even decides they're going to get out and fall to the back.
Yeah, there you go. That's that strategy we talked about. Maybe sometimes that's what you want to do. You know there's a wreck coming. It's possible we won't have it, but there you see him falling all the way to the back. Now, you want to stay in the draft, though. The mistake a lot of people make, Joe, in falling back in super speedways is you lift too much and you're out of the draft, and then that's a whole different problem you have.
Yeah, you really can't afford to lose it. I mean, granted, we've seen a lot of cautions, so chances are you will get to catch back up, but you can't always bank on it. We have a third line forming in the middle, and in complete contrast to last night, Rachel, it seemed like the middle didn't go anywhere, but these guys are moving forward.
No, too much, and round they go.
First caution.
As you were saying that, we'll get the replay for you now, but as you were saying that, they're moving around way too much here. You could see it up on the top line, it was really unbalanced, and look what happened.
Trying to see who it started with, and does look like that is going to be Nash Brambilla, who just gets tipped by the 15 here, spins to the inside. Unfortunately, about 6 or 7 cars going to get a little piece of this, but everybody else able to check up in time. Not quite the big one, but definitely a multi-car wreck, and we only made it to lap 3.
Yeah, only to lap 3. And sort of I don't call it a funny note, but a note of interest, that 55 car you just pointed out, Joe, that's Paul Moraine. He dropped to the back, and what happened? There he is in the back of your screen. He's stopped up, he's rolled up, and out of the wreck.
Here's
I think this could be Paul here.
View, yeah, we're going to see from his perspective. Ooh, just a whole bunch of smoke. Hard to tell what's going on. But like you said, yeah, he had plenty of time to get on the binders, find big openings, and just carefully pick his way past. Now, unfortunately, he's still classed as 25th, if I'm seeing correctly, so he didn't really gain a whole lot of positions out of it as they allowed the others to get back in line, but at least he's got a clean car, Rachel.
He does, and that's the important part of this, is making sure you have a car still at the end of the race. That's all you need to have left at Daytona.
Now, here's the question for Joe and Rachel. I'll ask you guys now. We're lap 4 of 20. There's some guys who clearly have damage. Now, assuming you don't have a meatball, assuming the car can continue, if you were in the spot, do you take your fast repair now? Or do you hold off for maybe another caution or two and see if you can have something at the end?
I think if it was me, without the meatball, I'd come in and save it and kind of bank on there being another caution where I could take it later potentially. And just take all the optional repairs I can and then dip before I lose a lap and get back out there. But if you have the meatball, then I say you gotta take the free repair because you can't afford to lose laps in this situation.
Yeah, I'd say take the repair, honestly, because you can afford to, but the thing is, Daytona is a guessing game until you get a caution. Once you've had a caution, you will see another. You just will. The track's changing, the cars are changing, tires are worn down. You're going to see a caution again. It's going to happen. It always does. And this is part of that whole thing we talk about with Daytona, the danger. I know I mentioned this earlier, about the experienced guys fearing racing at Daytona. Well, not fearing, but being aware. I will say in a league setting, when it is, a regular calendar and a speedway round is there, when I was a slow driver, I used to look forward to those races because I knew I could compete. I knew I could get up to the front. Which is probably what I learned as a faster driver, is that, oh God, they can catch up to me now. It suddenly became that, oh God, I need points, and this roulette table is coming up. Oh God.
Well, right now leading it is Donovan Strauss, as we saw from his onboard. Was actually Rookie of the Year in the eNASCAR series last year. So came off of a good result in that fashion. But this time around, coming to his sophomore season, picking up pretty soon after they've already had the clash. Now the official racing begins. This will be some good practice to try and deal with the unexpected, I'm sure, as they're going to be racing at Daytona. But can he manage to make it to the big show here? Because this is just the start, let's not forget. Does look like the lights are out on the pace car. So, Derek, we go to double file, and we're going to get going once more.
Yeah, get ready to go. I want to point out real quick, and I know you know this too, Joe, but Donovan not only successful in the eNASCAR world. If you follow his Twitter, he has a lot of racing in real life and has success there. So Donovan, a very seasoned veteran of racing, both real life and virtual. So it's always easy to expect to see Donovan up front here.
Yeah, and he's going to be flanked by Hamilton once again in the 91. And we saw a lot of times last time, Rachel, where on these restarts, it seemed like there would be two cars that kind of hook up. Either the front row would get together, or the two drivers first and then the same row directly behind first would kind of get together and push forward and then slide up in front of the other drivers. So I'm kind of curious if we're going to see the same here tonight. This will be our first indication on if they're going to be doing the same and trying to just kind of get that initial tandem on the restarts.
They will. Third always has the best shot. They get to see the car compress in front of them, and you get the best chance at a good restart with the leader from right behind them. Second is a good... You can do it. It's just much harder. It's a lot more guesswork. You have to watch where you're going and them. Whereas in front of them, you just kind of watch them.
Yep. And just a bit of a note here, Strauss is taking the outside lane here, so that's where he's going to restart.
Pace car is in. 51 waiting for it as we look for the green flag, and there it is. They start to go. Doesn't seem like the 84 got that great of a run, but he is going to be able to tuck up in there. However, that's not going to be enough to be able to push ahead of the lower line, at least for now. Let's see if once they get the momentum up out of 3 and 4, that changes. Right now, they'll stay neck and neck, but we got a quick caution here because we got a wreck forming in 1 and 2. Looks like that's going to involve Brandon Key. I see Jay Cook in that one along with Jeff Merck.
Yeah, this is going to happen, unfortunately. It's that restart wreck, and this will be Daytona for us. I wish we could have gone more than a couple of laps before we got these two in a row, but it could be a long night.
We did see a lot of this last time where cautions breed cautions very quickly, but again, disappointing. That looks like to me the 29 just got a bad bump or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of drivers in this, Joe, including myself, who will yell at you, please, don't bump in the corners. And then this is the kind of result you see of that stuff.
It was Drew White in 24 that got him back, and there you saw it. And just caused the pinball effect as they all banged around. And looks like we had a few lucky escapes, though. I'm trying to make out who that was that I think... Nope, he got a little piece of it. I think that was Austin Paul. Yeah, Austin Paul in 25. He just about found the hole through, and Key as well. Unfortunately, banged around quite a bit.
You know who did make it through, Joe? Our sort of unofficial race reporter here. If we could find the 55 car again, if our producer Gary doesn't mind, he's going to sift through this wreck once again. If we can see his view, he's going to ride the top lane all the way through the wreck.
Wait, let's watch from the nose. Yeah. Last
the wreck's going to happen on the bottom.
Just a whole bunch of smoke. And yeah, once again, very difficult to pick out, but he's got so much patience in all this. He was never really in danger from that view.
So maybe he knows something we don't know, because, right now, 2 cautions in, we're at the point now where you have to think some guys are in danger of not continuing this race for meatballs or wrecked cars, and we have some pit stops happening, Joe.
We do indeed. I don't see any black and orange flags is the good news, so I think everybody got away without any major damage. But there's definitely those that will probably want to get the aerodynamics fixed so that they can have top speed in case they do want to be up at the front and not have to constantly be the pusher. Had a big miss there for Jay Cook. In fact, missed by about 3 or 4 stalls, my goodness.
Yeah, pitting is one of those things at Daytona. You're doing it at different speeds to everywhere else. Even your pacing speed is higher, so you have to almost relearn it for the super speedways. You're pacing almost sometimes twice the speed of the tracks. It is very important to manage pit road like that.
And and I think it's also a skill across all of iRacing guys that we forget about, that we don't practice, or don't practice as much. It's easy to forget how important a good pit entry and getting into your stall is. And we've spent all this time on lines and drafting, apexes on road courses and what have you, but we forget about how important a pit entry is. And then you see things like this, you're, oh man, I wish I would have practiced that.
So Derek, are you saying skill issue?
I'm saying that it's, to a lot of drivers, if you were to rank skills, people put it at the bottom of the list, and maybe it shouldn't be there. That's what I'm saying.
It's one of the most important, honestly. It really is. To anyone who's a fast driver, they all tell you pit road is where you can make and break a race.
And we've seen that
so much to it.
Many times. It seems like we've seen races completely change around, as it looks like we're getting ready to go too wide once again for the restart. So before we get there, in case you missed last night, we do want to remind you that this year's Podium 500 is brought to you by Eric Messer Photography, the official photographer of the Madhouse, Bowman Gray Stadium. Eric is open for freelance hires for any racing organization in the Carolinas and Virginia. For more information, visit his website at e-m-photo.com. Create memories, not just photos. So, as we carry on, it looks like Jay Cook and Brandon Key got their cars repaired, are back out on the track, and we'll be able to restart with the rest of the pack. So still don't have anybody a lap down. That's the good news, that all 26 are still eligible or likely to have a shot at trying to win. But now we have half the race gone, Rachel. So unfortunately, with all the wrecks that we saw before, it could have been for drivers with a lack of patience, and, well, they can't afford patience much anymore.
No, which means it gets worse. 20 laps really does put you in a bit of a blender. So we'll have to see how this one shakes out. It's going to be an interesting final 10.
All right. So who will be able to make it from here? Hamilton and Donovan certainly have been doing well up there at the front. Cosman, who was our pole sitter, unfortunately has been slotted back into 4th position. But again, that's a good spot. It really doesn't matter if you're 4th, 3rd, or 2nd. You don't get the bonus money, but you still make it through. Really, the only impetus is potentially for the win, to take $50 home. Maybe treat yourself to a nice dinner or something. Other than that, you just want to get that top 5 stat to your name here in these heat races and make sure that you don't fall out. As the pace car is in, Hamilton has control of the field. Green flag is out, and as we accelerate away, very good start for the 51 of Donovan Strauss here.
A good launch here at the start of this, which is important to do. 4th, like 3rd, has the advantage of being able to see that leader really easy. 51 getting a good push here, and we've got a good double tandem almost forming at the start of this. 71 and 84 really pushing hard here. Look at a 3rd lane trying to open up behind them. It's the 94.
Yeah, it seems like Champagne is eager to try and make up those positions. Oh, and that squeezes somebody, I think, all the way up into the wall for a moment. That was the 8 of Slavosky. That's going to drag both himself and the 18 of Reynolds backwards. Reynolds, in fact, stuck in the middle and going nowhere, dropping like a rock. Speaking of which, does look to me that Donovan is not doing his hot here on this first lap, but now he's getting a huge push from the 84.
Yeah, both restarts now. We've seen the 84 not be right up on Donovan Strauss, which is who we're on board with here. And that can make a difference. But now this top lane's going to go. Now this top lane is lined up, Joe. The bottom lane. So hold on. He got moved.
Oh!
And it goes completely wrong. With that being at the very front, this is collecting nearly the entire field. Once again, a bad push in the corner is the culprit. Oh my goodness, this collected almost a majority of the drivers in this one.
That is a cringe moment there. That is... Whew. I hate seeing that, because you see him go down and you know he's going to ricochet back up again. There's nothing they can do. And last time I saw them like that, it was Tempen Bowling.
Cringe, is it oof, big mood there, Rachel?
Sure, why not? Let's go with that.
Now, interestingly, Cosman was saying that he wasn't on him when that happened. From my screen, it looks like he was. Cosman's one of the few drivers not in North America, so I wonder if his screen was not showing the same as what we saw, and he didn't think he was pushing.
Yeah, I want to see it again here, guys. I mean, it does look like from our screens. I thought the same thing on my screen, the Cosmos, but they're going to just a small weave back and forth. That's hard to not have happen at a super speedway, and it's an uneven bump. Yeah, see, okay, what happens here, if you can get it in slow-mo, is it's just a small weave, I think, from Cosman from right to left, and then he drags that bumper, and that's what spins Donovan.
And that did give some black and orange flags to a few cars. Actually, Mulrain in the 55 did not get away so lucky this time. Drew White, Dylan Thomas also suffered from it, so they're going to have to come in and take that free repair to get back out there. And we're already down to 8 laps left to go. Probably not going to restart until, I think, 6 laps left, and the clock ticks down. The drivers who are outside of those top 13 are going to start to feel that antsiness and start to make perhaps a few even more ill-advised moves in all of this. We'll have to see, but I do not have good feelings from what we've seen so far, Rachel. We've barely gotten maybe about 5 laps of green flag racing so far.
Yeah, that would be accurate. I think we've got like 3 or 4 most. It has been a busy one. Hopefully this is the worst of the night. We've got 71 missed his box there on pit road. Yeah, this has been rough.
You know, I want to say a couple of things real quick here. I know we kind of analyzed that replay and we talked about Cosman. First off, let me heap some praise on Cosman. Cosman's one of the most skilled drivers we have who doesn't have the black stripe in iRacing. Cosman has a lot of skills and spends a lot of time painting, but he's a great driver. I don't think that was an issue of skill with Cosman, just maybe a bad moment. Holding a car in a line at a super speedway, we all make this joke of hold your line, hold your line. That is one of the hardest things. I almost put a word in there. One of the hardest things to do in iRacing is to hold a line at the super speedway. That was just bad luck. There was nothing I think Cosman did wrong in that moment.
Agreed.
Yeah, you can see the 84 maybe feeling a little sheepish up in the front as he's going to take the restart. We've only had 12 cars that have not visited pit lane, so this has been a bit of an interesting one to start out with. Again, kind of a contrast to what we saw for the first one last time out. First one only saw those 2 yellows, and it was one right about in the middle and one at the very end. This has just been nothing but. I think they're about to get the 1-to-go signal here pretty soon. And a few have definitely taken advantage of the melees. Slavoski's up 11 spots and sitting in 4th, so not doing too shabby.
No, if you can get lucky at these kind of things, you'll do just fine. I think it'd be pretty simple if you manage to just avoid anything. You'll LCQ at least. So it's still the risk and the randomness. It will happen unless you camp at the back all day and hope for it to go like this. You got to be involved in it.
Now, sadly, go ahead.
I was going to say, guys, I'm sorry. Just as a point of note here, we're going to restart with 5 to go. Once we hit the line again, we're at the point of no return here. If they were to wreck before we get to 4 to go, we would have a 1-lap shootout, I believe, like we had last night. But I believe once we take a lap here, this will end the race no matter what happens from here.
Yeah, I think you're right on that one. Now, unfortunately, because it has been a bit of a yellow fest on this first one, that means that I will have to take off for other obligations here on Podium Esports. In the meantime, Rachel and Derek will take care of you for the remaining 5 laps of this first heat race.
And well, thanks, Joe. You can go catch Joe on the main Podium Esports channel. He'll be covering the MPI series, so that'll leave Rachel and I here. So, Rachel, obviously the easy answer is no. The prediction, if you don't have a prediction of will we make it without the caution, is no. But now we have a new leader here. Cosman's now going to control the lead for the first time from the inside. This could be a very different race here to see how Cosman takes off and what happens here.
Well, let's hope he's feeling like a cosmonaut tonight, because I think that'd be really helpful for him. He needs to go fast. He's got to do this. There's not a lot of time left, and he must secure that spot, especially if we get a wreck.
Here we go. Green flag's in the air. Cosman gets a nice jump. He's going to take the lead. Here's going to leave a small gap here on the inside. That car did not get a move here. Now they're going to get up, and now they're going to push. And we have 3 cars in line on the bottom. And we got a top line forming as well. Now they're in turn number 1. Cosman's still your leader. 5 to go in heat number 6 for the Podium 500. Now, Rachel, how long will these guys stay on the bottom? We know that people like the high lane, or do you think they'll stay on the bottom for the rest of this heat?
Oh, I think they'll be in every lane in every direction shortly because they're all over the place. They're split to 2 packs already. The leaders, a couple of singles, and then we've got 2 lines, and no one's staying still. This wind is playing havoc with these cars. They're all over the track here.
Yeah, they're 3 wide back there,
No!
all single file.
And we're blowing it.
Wrecking the back. There it is. That's the 3 car around. That's the first one I noticed. Yellow is out. I think we are done. We'll wait for race control and the pace car to tell us, but I saw the 3 car get around first, Rachel.
Yeah, that happened. Whew.
And take a look here and see what's going to happen here. This is well behind the leaders. By the way, that push from Kevin Champagne to the back of Cosman there, you can't see it from the angle, but that was great. But here we go. This is going to be where the wreck happens. Let's see what happens, Rachel.
The lanes were moving so much here. You'll see it just at the top there of your screen, left-hand side. Right in the middle there, so when he starts to go backwards, he just comes down. I'm not sure what caused that, but he just lost grip almost.
The 3, the 71, the 18, and others all involved. I'm curious to see where Donovan Strauss made it out of that, just out of curiosity. He's now sitting P13 or P12. He's on a transfer spot currently. So, see, this is going to be a ride along here with Donovan Strauss. Let's watch it through the wreck, Rachel.
Yeah,
he's just going to be way up.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, what luck for Donovan Strauss that he had some kind of instinct to move up. Had he not moved up, Rachel, he would have been right in the middle of it.
I think it was his head of steam. He was going so fast. It would have been rude not to move up and go for it. He just had such momentum. He had to carry it through. It was just pure luck of the draw.
Right. Well, here we are pacing around 3 to go at Daytona. So currently, Cosman Ionescu is in first place, looking to be that $50 winner. Kevin Champagne is in second. And then you got Hamilton, Matthew Baker, and Dennis, your top 5. Well, Rachel, unfortunately for these kind of heats, we do see some yellow flags. So maybe not a surprise for this race, but who knows what could be in the next 4 heats ahead of us.
I don't know. It's going to be telling. That is for sure. The way it stands right now, I'm hoping we get some quicker ones because these could be over in no time at all. You know, you're talking under 20 minutes if it goes green. I doubt we will see that, but at the same time, this has probably been, I think, the busiest of all of them we're going to have tonight. Fingers crossed, touching wood. We should be good. But this is Daytona, it can happen. And I think the 20-lap factor here is playing in a big way to this because it is a rush to get going.
So we'll wait for the pace car here this time by. If the pace car turned its lights off, we will have a green checker to finish this race, Rachel. That means they'll take the green. Once they get to the line, we'll turn cautions off and they'll race it back and we'll see what happens. If the lights stay on, we are done. And Cosman Ionescu will win heat number 6.
We will find out. I think we might get it. Bath would suggest we'll get one. If we do, my God, it's going to be the Wild West. I've been watching a lot of Deadwood recently, and it's going to be the main street in Deadwood if this goes green.
Yeah, we'll wait and see here if we can get a shot of that pace car, possibly. I cannot tell from
Flag
that
was
angle.
off the stand. Yellow flag came off the stand.
All right, yellow flag. So
Lights are out. Lights are out.
That's it, Rachel. So here we go. Let's line up. Let's run it through real quick. We'll do it by 10s, Rachel. P1, Cosman Ionescu. Kevin Champagne in second. Hamilton Akubezi in third. Matthew Baker 4. Dennis Osmond 5. Ty Ebass 6. Nash Brambilla 7. Jesse Atchison's 8. Logan Slavoski is 9. Jaden Carter is 10. Take it away from there, Rachel.
11th place will be Brendan Key with Donovan Strauss in 12th. Jeff D. Merrick, 13th. Cutoff line there. Anderson Oquendo in 14th. Tim Wortman Jr. 15th. Andrew Davis 16th. Jonathan Cross 17th. Dylan Thomas 18th with Jimmy Reynolds and Jay Cook rounding out your top 20.
And then 21 on back, Austin Paul, Jason Rashcock, Ambrose Knebel, Michael Meredith, Drew White, and Paul Mulrain, the 55. All right, Rachel, I'm going to put you on the spot. We're going to go green checker. Does the winner come from inside the top 5 or outside the top 5?
Inside. I think Iona Shu is going to be the one that brings this home. I've got a feeling.
Well, based upon the bumps earlier from the 94 and that McDonald's machine, you know, Cosman seems happy to have Kevin push him around. So will Kevin get in line, or does Kevin want to win that $50? We'll find out in just a moment here. Beautiful shot there from the back of that car. All right.
The important question is the milkshake machine working?
For the last time in heat number 6, pace car's down. Cosman's got it readied up any moment now. Green flag at Daytona. Cosman with the jump. Kevin's almost side by side, falls back a little bit. Now we see a much more organized top lane already, if you see there from your screen looking backwards, than the bottom. So we'll see if that makes a difference. Cosman might move up here. And so far has not. He is not clear. He has one pusher behind him. And here goes Kevin and the others right on around Cosman. Now Champagne is up there. He has a pusher in the 5 car. And so far that appears to be the line that's going to move. Now it's at Daytona, so who knows what happens. But, ooh, that is a push happening right there.
Oh, this is so messy. There's cars everywhere. Oh, they're coming up the wrecking. But it's, of course, green, white, check. Oh, yeah, last lap, so no cautions.
Yep. No caution. That's
they're going again.
Pushing Kevin all way hard in the wall.
And
Will
again.
Baker make the move any moment? Now they're wrecking for third.
They're wrecking everywhere.
Baker makes the move too late. And Kevin Champagne will win heat number 6.
Oh,
By
man.
the way, look at that real quick, not to take it for the moment. P3, Donovan Strauss.
Oh my god. He came from 12th, by the way.
He came from 12th. That's exactly correct.
He locks in. That is amazing. Good on you, Donovan Strauss. 12th in the LCQ territory to locked in. That lap was insane. I think we got like 6 wrecks there.
Let's look at it. Logan Slavoski, 11th, is in. Jimmy Reynolds, 12th, is in. Dylan Thomas, 13th, is in. Michael Meredith, Nash Brambilla, 14th and 15th, not in, unfortunately. Watch this wreck here. I believe this is going to be the first wreck we saw in our background. Look at him, 3 wide back here, trying to make moves, trying to make things happen. Seeing it from the beautiful camera here in the back straight over the pond. Oh, some bumping there on the bottom. Got that blue car. Oh, that's where it is. Got that blue car loose, and he just moved it around. Now, here's the wreck out of 4 we saw with a hard hit to the outside wall. Oh, my gosh. That's head on. And
Yeah,
that's just going to
was
wreck everyone there.
that was busy. That was real busy.
Well, that, my friends, is heat number 6. So that was fun. That's the first of 5 we have to do tonight. Ooh, look at that gyro cam. Let's see it from this angle here real quick, Rachel.
This could be like a cockpit camera in a World War II fighter at a dogfight, I think, here. You see him coming up behind this just wall of cars in every direction. Up on the top, big head of steam, pushing ahead to Sunoco car in front of him. And just really getting a great solid run here.
They got it. Oh, man. Oh, and that's the scary one. That's the scary one. Oh, man. Nice job, Jay Cook. Just honestly held his line and stayed in it. Decided he was going to ride it no matter what happened. And the wreck just sort of parted around him. That was a good move there.
That was spicy. Let's look at our results.
Was spicy indeed. Right. I believe here at this moment, we are going to head into a break in a moment here. Guys, thanks so much for being part of this Podium 500 experience here on Podium 2, part of Podium Esports. And we will be back in a moment with more 500 action. All right, welcome back here to our continuing coverage of the Podium 500 qualifying heats. We're about to do heat number 7. Now, in heat number 6, we lost Joe P because he's off doing other coverage for Podium, but we've picked up Monday Night Racing's own Kenneth Bueno. Kenneth, welcome in.
Well, thank you, Derek. Certainly appreciate to be back on Podium 500 coverage. It has been a while, but I really do love this transition. I feel like this, in some ways, part of the magic of the Podium 500 itself. You whittle down the hundreds of drivers, Derek, that sign up for this very race, trying to get to that main feature of 200 laps. 500 miles, and this is really where the road begins. And I know we've had a lot of crazy heats already. I've been watching over the past couple of hours, and even last night. It's been wild, and we're probably going to see a lot of the same here in heat number 7.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about it, Kenneth, is that every heat we do, you're like, oh, I know that guy. I know that guy. These are all star-studded races, but it's also a chance for people to drive against, maybe they watch on Twitch or watch an eNASCAR and rub fenders and get to test their skills. Rachel, I love events like this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's great to be able to kind of mix, because it's such an evening track. You've got some of the pros versus people who are the regular drivers, so you get a really great race. And there's a bit of luck all decide the field, but that's what makes racing great.
So we are ready to get heat number 7 started, and it's definitely going to be a lot of fun. Drivers in the qualifying session right now, again, like we've iterated in the previous heats from tonight, as we've seen in heat number 6, or even the first handful of heats 1 through 5 from yesterday. It is the top 5 that make it all the way to the duels that will happen over the weekend. Everybody back on through 13th, all going to make it to the LCQs. Everybody 14th on back are going to have to say their goodbyes at an attempt at a 2023 Podium 500 run. They'll be out of this race. A lot of big names as well, though, Derek. In this one, you think of Craig Arvanites. He was a driver who's attempted Podium 500s before. Liam Sheen, who made a Road to Pro effort. He's part of Elliott Sadler Esports. You look at drivers like Justin Champagne, who I believe is related to Kevin Champagne, who just went to Victory Lane not that long ago in the previous heat. So a lot of drivers to watch for. And I know that in the later heats, the talent is only going to continue to grow.
Oh, yeah. I mean, names, it's so hard to pick names to mention. You got Tommy Gossett in here, who made a Road to Pro run. You have names of all style. We know them from leagues. We know them from officials. We know them from eNASCAR. It's a fun experience to really have. Yeah, we think Justin is related to Kevin, so it'd be cool for them to have a family affair comes Sunday if they could both make the 500, Kenneth.
It is definitely going to be a lot of fun. And Rachel, when you think of this type of race, obviously heat race, it's not very long, 20 laps. If you're a driver starting pretty far back on the field after this qualifying session, is there anything you have in mind when you drop the green flag? Is it just go, 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 or do you try to sort of make it like a mini marathon?
You've got to be careful, because you go, 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 and you end up going to pit road. It's a balance, because you've got 20 laps, so you've got to go, but you've got to go in such a way that you don't end up in the pileup.
That's definitely going to be big. So winding down to our final 35 seconds in qualifying for heat number 7. So we'll have the starting grid ready for you. We do have Colton Harvey, the number 12, at the top of the board. So we'll see if he stays there. Still a couple of drivers that are left to qualify. I believe 2 that are left. Tyler Grinnell in the 68, Justin Champagne in the 24. Maybe we'll have a Champagne double if we end up in that case, but so far none of them electing for a qualifying time, and we will be ready in just a couple of moments to give you the starting grid for heat number 7 for the 5th annual Podium 500. So time is out on the qualifying charts. We have our starting grid here from the virtual Daytona International Speedway, and it all begins with the number 12 of Colton Harvey. He starts with a 49.804 fastest out of everybody in this group. He will have Seth Ryder in the number 13 to his outside. First 2 that will see the green flag in heat number 7. Kwame Scott in the 26 starts inside of row number 2. He will have Charles Velasquez Jr. in the number 64 on the outside in P4. Tanner Long, the last driver inside the top 5. He is inside row number 3. And Corbin McCauley in the number 17 alongside. David Sheets in the 06 starts in P7. Liam Sheen, a Road to Pro driver from last year, rolls off in P8. P9 will go to Ryan Campbell in the number 4 machine. And Rachel Whiteford, the final driver inside the top 10. Craig Arvanites in the number 11.
11th place is going to be Peyton Tullock in the 11th place, with Austin Johnson there in 12th. We have Ian Copperthity in 13th. Sorry about that one. Walter Richardson 14th. Tommy Gossett 15th place, with Aaron Brown in 16th. Mike Wheel in 17th. Elliot Carlson is 18th. 19th is Nessim Seferu. And Brian Noel in 20th.
21st will go to Trey Whitehead. He'll have Brock Whitehead to his outside, 2 Whiteheads to join in row number 11. Then goes Tyler Rush with Charles Whitehead. So 3 Whiteheads in a row, 21st through 23rd. Tyler Rush going to be alongside in row number 12 and 24th. 25th will go to Justin Champagne. Or rather, Tyler Grinnell will be 25th, 26th. 2 drivers to not take time in qualifying, and I do not believe they have made the grid either. So we're going to watch and see if they can make it. Fortunately for everybody else, all of them on the grid, waiting for the command from Race Control and the iRacing official pace car. So here's a look at our heat qualifying format. You've seen it throughout heats 1 and 5 and heat number 6, but we'll again reiterate for those who are just tuning in on Podium Esports, $50 to win this heat, so a little bit of a cash incentive, a little more than just qualifying for the duels this weekend. No green-white checkered attempts, and like we saw in the last heat, didn't need any of them, just a 1-lap shootout. Fixed setup for every single driver. You have 1 fast repair if you get in trouble. 17 incident limit, so Rachel, that is going to matter, especially that fast repair, because if you get into a crash, you had that opportunity to have a saving grace, and that's going to mean a lot if you want to get into those top 5 for the duels.
It really will do, and we've seen some people get DQ'd in this one so far. It is possible. Enough happened.
So Field of Grace, the back straightaway here at the Daytona International Speedway, a site that obviously very familiar from last night and tonight, and obviously throughout the weekend. And when we cross this back straightaway 200 times for the Podium 500 in 2023. Derek, quick thoughts before we go green for this 20-lap heat number 7.
Yeah, a couple thoughts as it's going to be fun. We saw it last time. One note, I know we were talking about Justin Champagne. Apparently, he entered the wrong heat, Kenneth. He is not actually running in this heat. So we'll have to wait till later for the brothers to complete the process. But I'm excited for this. Let's see where it goes. And maybe we get some cleaner racing than heat number 6.
It looks like for Tyler Grinnell, that is also the case. Him and Champagne not going to be able to drive in heat number 7. So we'll whittle it down to just 24, all of them putting down a qualifying time. Pace car is down, ready for 20 laps for heat number 7. Colton Harvey, Seth Ryder into the restart zone and to the green flag for heat number 7 of the Podium 500. Rows deep through the field. Seth Ryder and Colton Harvey, the first 2 to see the start-finish line. It was at first Seth Ryder's race to lose for lap number 1, but Colton Harvey finds a huge push from the driver behind him, and Kwame Scott. Big wiggle out of Colton Harvey at a turn 2, lap 1, Derek.
Yeah, that's going to put them 3 wide, Kenneth. Now they're 3 wide, almost 1 deep, almost 2 deep for a second. But now we got a driver falling back through what we call the sucker hole, Kenneth, and falling back quickly he is.
Looks like Ryder will maintain on the outside. Colton Harvey switches up top. That opens the door, though, for Kwame Scott. Big help from Tanner Long in the 25. And again, they will even out this time. The driver starts up front. Harvey gets a big hit from Ryder there. Almost got completely sent sideways. But he will cross the stripe first for lap number 3 of 20. And all clean so far. But obviously, Rachel, we can see the calm before the storm well before we even drop the green flag. These drivers all single file in each and every lane, and they're side by side. It looks calm for now, but watch when we cross lap 5, maybe lap 10. We'll see a wrong push, a little bit of a miscommunication. So far, though, right now, all clean.
Don't say that. This is exactly what causes it. We did this last time. We triggered the first wreck and it was downhill from there. No, these guys are absolutely going to crash immediately. I truly believe it. They're just going to all spin out now and crash. This is the right inspirational line to take here, and we should definitely see a massive, massive all-field pile-up, absolutely. It's totally going to happen.
Well, we
Remember,
see
you have
now
to
that-
hope things the right way.
Sorry, there at 25, Tanner Long, he moves up to the outside. That's right in front of Colton Harvey. So Kwame Scott takes over the race lead on the outside, and this is sort of a sight that we saw, Derek, in last year's Podium 500 in 2022 with the introduction of the next-gen car. Once you get a couple of guys on that very top, it can be very hard for the drivers on the bottom to find any sort of momentum. You need a lot of drivers and a lot of cooperation to make it happen, because unless anything changes, this is the sight you're going to see. The drivers at the top clear without anyone on the bottom for roughly 4, 5, maybe 6 cars. And it looks like the 44 machine, Liam Sheen, tried to look under, looked for some help, could not find any out of turn 4.
You know, Kenneth, I've often questioned about this. Is it really a matter of the top line being dominant, or is it a matter of people being impatient and waiting for a line to form? I think that's a little bit of both is the answer to your question. You know, sometimes you see that line on top, you just want to get up there quickly and not get left behind. But see Liam now moving back down. He's going to lead the bottom lane. If these guys are going to stay patient, there's another one helping down there. That is the 21 is going to go with him. If these guys will stay patient, I think they can make the bottom lane work. It's more a matter of patience than the dominance of the line, I think.
And the patience trying to come to fruition later on in this heat as we cross for lap number 5. Still your race leader, Kwame Scott, in that number 26 Chevrolet Camaro, but it's Elliott Sadler Esports' Liam Sheen. On the bottom, pushed by Austin Johnson and also Craig Arvanitis, that third car on the inside lane. A big checkup from the top, heading for the trial. Well, this is exactly what you like to see, Derek, if you're the 44 and the 21. Huge run in at turn 1, and Rachel, they might look for the lead coming from the back straightaway.
They might. I think they've got an opportunity to get a good run here. There's momentum at the bottom. We're starting to see it. The top's getting a little bit wiggly. So we could see the 44 leading that lane along here. And I think that will work. Sheen is looking pretty strong. He might take another lap, but they're looking a lot more put together.
A lot of organization on the inside line, and Liam Sheen going to get pushed by the 21 of Austin Johnson. New heat leader out of turn 4, the 44 of Liam Sheen. And worked with Austin Johnson. I've seen them in leagues before on the iRacing platform over the past couple of years, and they've worked well together in some cases. So Sheen now moves all the way to the top. He'll block in front of Kwame Scott. And for the first time, Liam Sheen holds on to the lead in heat number 7. Might be ripped away from his hands, though, in turns 1 and 2. Derek Austin Johnson, Chevrolet Camaro out front.
Yep, here comes that Chevrolet Camaro. Now he's got to push, but now Johnson, see, is going to go to the outside. There's that thing about the patience. You want to get up there. And, you know, the question I have about these kind of moves in a 20-lap race. Oh, now Sheen to the bottom. Sheen's going to take the lead, Kenneth. I was going to say, the question I have about some of these moves is, what kind of reputation are you building with your partners and your teammates and your competitors when you make moves like that? Are you offending the guy you just hung out to dry? Could that come around to bite you when we get to lap 19 or 20 in this heat?
It just depends on the relationship as we watch Craig Arvanitis work to the inside. A bit of help on the rear end, that is by the 06 of David Sheets. But that is a good point that Derek brings up, Rachel, is just building that friendship, building some respect between yourself and everybody else in the field. Yes, maybe you can have some friends on the iRacing service where, you know, if you guys race for the lead, it won't necessarily be a life or death situation. You both are just trying to have some fun if you stay inside the top 5 to make the duels. But if you're everybody else, maybe guys like Kwame Scott, you don't have a lot of guys around you that maybe you recognize or people that you've worked or raced with against on the iRacing service before. So you spend these 20 laps building that repertoire, trying to find who you can work with efficiently to stay up front or to move up front if you're in the middle or back of the field.
Absolutely, and I think some guys made the wrong choice here or had lost the draft perhaps, but there's a couple of groups of cars here that have dropped off the back, maybe think there'd be a huge wreck. Now are begging for one because they're stuck back here in 2s and 3s and they've nowhere to go. It's really going to hurt them if they can't have something happen here, but if they do, they're in the absolute catbird seat. But right now, this top lane is a powerhouse. The bottom lane is just falling apart. And here comes the freight train. This one's really different race.
And there was a big checkup as well on the back straightaway. Tanner Long was way out in front, got sucked in by Craig Arvanitis, and then they all slowed down, trying to get to the back bumper of the 25, just making sure they could not cause a wreck on the back straightaway. That's the last thing they want to do. So the outside lane powering at the top as they cross to the tri-oval. And as of lap 10, halfway mark in heat number 7, we're green up until this point. And it has been all Liam Sheen at the front, couple of drivers down low. That starts with Charles Velasquez Jr. in the 64. Derek started 4th. He fell back to 7th and looking for the top 5 to get into the duels.
Yeah, and just a moment though, a second ago there, Kenneth, we saw this moment where I thought we were going to have our first wreck. There it is. I almost spoke into existence. It's behind the field. I think we're going to say green, but the 15 almost came down earlier into Tanner Long, and that's why I yelled not clear because I got nervous for a second. But we're going to stay green here, and now that bottom line is going to start to make a move, and we got one on the wall.
One in the outside wall. I believe that is Colton Harvey, the pole sitter. Indeed, it is. So Harvey trapped on the third lane at the very outside of the tri-oval, and absolutely no draft as we cross for 10 laps to go. Velasquez to the lead in turn 1. Liam Sheen falling back to second.
Power Puff Girl car of Tanner Long is going to try to make the push here. Now, will he make the move and go up? And they both will, and that'll once again leave this blue and red car leading your bottom lane for the second or third time this race, Kenneth.
And a big push from Liam Sheen. That wiggles Tanner Long on the back straightaway, heading for turn 3. And that could have been absolutely catastrophic, Rachel. That's one thing you don't want to do as you're right on board with Tanner Long on the rear end of his Ford Mustang. These next-gen cars have a curved rear bumper. You don't want to angle the nose wrong to a rear end, or else you're sending someone around. You're bringing out the first caution of this heat.
Oh yeah, and we saw the 3 there squared up the middle of those 2 lanes. They had no real choice. They had momentum, and suddenly the lanes were checking up. It was crazy. They had nowhere to go, but there wasn't a lot of room. So this was definitely getting quite congested here. I'm quite impressed with just how hectic this one has gotten. But it's holding together. This is such a tactical race.
And that was David Sheets, by the way. You guys saw in the back of your screen go off out of turn 4. He saved it, did not hit anything. He's back on track. But that's who that was. That was David Sheets that went off the track like that.
And the 17, Cormac McCauley, went over the radio and said what's going on basically is they were swerving all over the track and almost about caused a caution just to let you know the drivers that were involved in that incident on the back straightaway, which we stayed green. It was Elliot Carlson in the number 09, the 8 machine of Aaron Brown. Both of them mired back beneath the top 20, and where they sit right now as the leaders head for turn 1, they will have to go home and try for next year's Podium 500. Top 5 looking like this to the duels. Charles Velasquez Jr., P1, Tanner Long, 2nd, Liam Sheen in 3rd, Austin Johnson and Kwame Scott currently your top 5. The driver holding the last transfer spot, Ryan Campbell, under fire from Payne Tulloch in the number 20. And here they come, Rachel, back for turn 3. Single file to the top, looking for 7 laps to go.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be really important to how this one plays. This has become suddenly a very important race to find that momentum. This isn't about good starts. This isn't about making those gains early. This has really now become something of people have started to get worried because they're not going to make the momentum they thought they could.
So something to talk about real quick, guys. Sorry to cut in here, but Tanner Long fell back out of 2nd place, wanting to go to the inside. He went from 2nd to 10th in that lap. I don't know if he has a plan or maybe he wasn't comfortable with the bumps he was getting from Liam Sheen, but that was very confusing. But now here comes the bottom lane again, ready to go.
It may be the bumps that Liam Sheen was giving to the back of that 25, because I think there were multiple instances around the racetrack where that 44 almost completely sent Long around just with the angle that he was hitting him and the force of the push. As you watch Velasquez Jr. dive in front of Seth Ryder in the 13, who takes over 2nd. They'll try and challenge back on the 2nd lane, this time led again by that Toyota Camry, the Elliott Sadler Esports machine, who wiggles off of the back end. That was the 21 of Austin Johnson that tried to give him the push for the lead in turn 1. And right now, as it stands, transfer spot for the LCQ, Brock Whitehead in the 31.
And guys, here's the interesting point to consider. We're 6 to go. This front pack you see is 13 cars, as far as I can count. Listen, my math is wrong, and I'm pulling the Jacob Hits. This is 13 cars right here. If you guys were content to race this out for 5 1/4 more laps, all of you advance to Saturday. I don't think they're going to do it. I'm just saying.
But Rachel, if you're that 27 Tyler Rush, you're on the back end of this entire pack. You're 14th. You're 1 spot shy. Do you start to make the move now? Do you give yourself a bit of insurance? Is there 3 wide in the mid-pack? Or do you just hang back and wait for at least maybe 2 laps to go?
No, you got to go now, because if we get a caution from here, it's over. So you got to start moving. This is where it counts, because anything could change this. So you either go and get the momentum and get to the front, or you at least get yourself into a lock-in position, which is what they need.
And What a move on the back straightaway by Tommy Gossett in the 3. There's a look at Tyler Rush. He's currently 14th. Liam Sheen dives underneath Velasquez Jr. He wants the lead. He wants the win in heat number 7. They'll come out of turn 4 and take 4 laps to go. Tommy Gossett, though, with a huge run. He'll shoot up to 4th at the tri-oval.
Now, Kenneth, the pressure's on. We're at the point of no return. There are not green-white checkers in this race. If the caution comes out, we are done. So now you have to think to yourself, I have to make a, if you're that guy in the last in that line in that red car, you have to be plotting your move every second now, because any moment now, this race could be over.
And now here comes Tommy Gossett back for the action on the inside. He's got Seth Ryder behind. He'll close up on the rear bumper. They're going to split him 3 wide underneath the double yellow line on the back straightaway. Gossett tries to find a space between Ryder and Tanner Long and cannot do it. He has to back out. One driver moving down low. That is Charles Velasquez Jr. heading for 3 to go, Rachel, from Daytona.
Yeah, this is dangerous territory now. We're going to have, in fact, the whole outside lane is basically locking into this one. If these guys at the bottom don't hook up and do something about it, because we may actually get a 3rd lane running for this. They're going to need to, because otherwise no one gets to say in this story, no matter how the race finishes.
Again, 2 transfer spots to watch for. Top 5 all advancing to the duels this weekend. Everybody from 6th through 13th all get in to the LCQ and can keep their chances at a Podium 500 appearance alive. Right now, the last driver in, Tanner Long in the 25. 27 of Tyler Rush still on the back end. There's lap traffic in front of your leaders. So, Derek, that might affect the drivers on the bottom. They're going to have to go through the middle of the racetrack or try something to settle themselves out amongst the group. And the last thing we want to do is get checked up so dearly that they fall so far behind.
Well, and the crazy thing I'm not hearing right now, Kenneth, is we're in the simulator ourselves. There's no communication that I can tell happening, but now this lap traffic is going to move down. If I would have been the leader, I'd have been on the radio asking him to move or maybe telling him to move. To get a spot here. But I agree with you. The story now with 2 to go, there is a lead race, but this race back here with Tyler Rush, he's about to pick up a spot. Oh, a little contact. And he's in. Oh, wait, that's the lap car. I apologize. He's not in. Sorry, I got excited for a second.
And that's Ryan Campbell in the 4. He's now dropped to 14th. Tyler Rush, last driver in. Here comes Craig Arvanitis. Help from Tanner Long in the 25. The Mustangs trying to prance to the front. They'll come out of turn 4. Liam Sheen will grab the white flag in heat number 7. And Rachel, it's about how long can you last if you're in that last spot of the top 13, or even if you want to be aggressive for the 5th spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we just saw there, the 31 drop down. He wanted to try and maybe pull this momentum for the bottom lane, but it's not going to be enough. You've got to give the top 6, top 7 in the top lane there. Everyone's going to start to go for it here and see what they can get. Maybe we'll see the momentum break on his top line, but I don't think we will. I think Sheen, Johnson, Scott, Harvey, and Gossett are in a solid spot here. It ain't going to change the way this is looking.
The back of the field's changing again. Rush is in, and I believe they have dropped.
Oh, Gossett sideways in 3 and 4. He gets into Seth Ryder, Craig Arvanitis, and multiple others involved. Liam Sheen leads him out of turn 4. No one else will follow for a move. Liam Sheen wins heat number 7 of the Podium 500. Brock Whitehead comes home in 5th. Where's the transfer spot? It will be to the line. Timing and scoring trying to update itself. David Sheets is in.
Lucky last moment there for them. There are some big turmoil on that last lap. It did shake things up a little bit, but not hugely. So that was a really static race. I was shocked that even though we had a wreck on the last lap, that was a green flag race after caution again in the first. What a difference.
David Sheets, who we saw come off the track earlier hard off of turn 4.
He's in the second pack too.
In the second pack, him and Aaron Brown and others just drove right by that wreck. I think this is going to be, they're going to drive by the wreck in just a second here, I believe. This might be on the back straight coming out of 2. Right behind that Bet MGM car here, Kenneth. And I think the wreck is coming up any second now.
Yeah, by now, Tommy Gossett is sideways with Seth Ryder in turn 3. The smoke's going to start to billow. If you're Brown and Sheets, it's going to take a little while to get there, but then I think this is the lap before. So this is coming to the white flag. So you'll see it in turn 3, very calm lap. And by this point, you'd expect if it stays green, Rachel, that these guys have no chance. They're not going to be able to get remotely close to the top 15 or even the top 13, as a matter of fact. But like we see all the time at these super speedways and most notably at Daytona, anything can change in the last couple of 100 feet. It changes in a nanomillisecond, and all of a sudden you have David Sheets, Corbin McCauley, Aaron Brown, drivers who are near the rear of the field, fighting their way through and making it to the LCQ.
Are we coining a new unit of time now? The nanomillisecond?
maybe. It's a very small fraction of time.
Here it comes right here, guys. Sorry to cut you off, but this is going to be, there you see a little bit of smoke. You see he's going to move up. Now you're going to move down. And there you go. That's how you get in.
And that's full send.
Once that white flag happens, that's what you're hoping for. If you're back there where Aaron Brown or David Sheets were, you're just kind of hoping that you hear the words wrecking over the radio and a smile comes across your face every time it happens. I think this will be the wreck here, however, Ken, if you want to call this one.
Yeah, this is the trouble that arose in turn 3. Seth Ryder, by the way, just short. And I mean just short of making it to the LCQ. They wobble on the back straightaway. That's Ryan Campbell in the 4, who, by the way, makes it in, finishes inside the top 10, so he's fine. But then the move comes to the bottom. Tommy Gossett has been very aggressive this entire heat. He had been looking to move up a couple of spots. Then a big block by Colton Harvey, and that just wobbles his machine. He comes up into Ryder, then Arvanitis, and then other drivers involved as well. And that moves Tyler Rush out of this race, Craig Arvanitis out of this race, Tommy Gossett out of this race. And just many of the hard hitters, unfortunately, not going to be able to make a bid for the Podium 500 this year.
Now, I don't think you said his name, and I'm not sure if you did, but Tyler Rush, who we kept kind of watching that back spot, who was right there in the transfer, well out of it because of that wreck as well.
A big one that takes multiple drivers out. Tommy Gossett, a Road to Pro driver from last year, unfortunately will not be able to advance into any of the races in our continuing coverage of the Podium 500. Let's take a look at the full unofficial results in a heat that went green from lap 1 to lap 20. Liam Sheen ends up for Elliott Sadler Esports as the winner in heat number 7. Austin Johnson follows suit in P2, both of them working fluently throughout this race, and it comes out to full effect. Kwame Scott ends up as the last driver inside the top 3. Colton Harvey, the pole sitter of this heat, ends up 4th. Brock Whitehead, the last driver in the top 5. So from Liam Sheen, Austin Johnson, Kwame Scott, Colton Harvey, Brock Whitehead, all of them going to the duels this weekend for the Podium 500. Tanner Long, Walter Richardson, Charles Velasquez Jr., Peyton Tullock, Ryan Campbell, the drivers inside your top 10, and Rachel Whiteford all making it to the LCQ.
Absolutely are, of course. And we've had Brown, McCauley, we had Sheets there, the last transfer spot. Rita in 14th, we had Noel in 15th, Carlson 16th, Whitehead Trey in 17th, Copperthete in 18th place with Charles Whitehead in 19th. 20th is Tommy Gossett Jr. Behind them, it is going to be Avrites, it's going to be Seferu, Rush, Wheel, Grindle being our field.
Tyler Grinnell and Justin Champagne. Derek did not make the field, so I think they're in the next heat, I believe. They should be.
No, we'll see them later tonight in Podium 500 action. Well, with that, guys, I think it's time to head off and get ready for our next race. We're going to take a small break while we get everyone prepped in for the next race. Guys, thanks so much for being here for our Podium 500 coverage, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Welcome back to coverage of Heat Racing for the 5th annual Podium 500 right here on Podium Esports and live on twitch.tv/Podium2. My name is Kenneth Bueno, joined alongside by Derek Watson and Rachel Whiteford. We'll be bringing you all of the coverage for the rest of the night here on February 9th as we try to decide who will make the duels, who will make the LCQs, overall, who's going to advance to the Podium 500 this weekend, and of course all the drivers that are going their way home. We're going to have to try again for 2024. So Derek, I'll start with you. Of course, we had a clean and green heat race just a couple of moments ago. Liam Sheen getting the win in that. An unbelievable finish for the top 13 transfer as well. But as I said at the top of the show in heat number 7, talent level is only going to continue to grow. We're going to see that here most notably in heats 8, heat 9. We'll start with heat 8 this evening.
Yeah, I mean, all these heats, Kenneth, of course, were snaked by iRating. So all the heats were just purely randomly picked with a few schedule assistance options made for a few drivers. But every heat has its own skill sets. We see the setup for the race. We just the same all night long. 20 laps, no green white checker. This is a fixed setup, one fast repair, and of course, a 17 incidents and you're out. But I'm excited for all these heats coming up. Everyone has names that we know or friends that we know that maybe we're rooting for privately, Rachel. Now, Rachel, the question I have for you, now that this last heat went green, does that change how the drivers want to approach this heat, or do they still want to prep it as though it could be a multi-rec race, or has it maybe made you a little bit more hopeful?
I think you always have to expect the wrecks. Expect the wrecks, hope for the green, but that's the problem of Daytona. Because you have to plan for one or the other. You either plan for green and get to the front and stay at the front, or the middle, or you expect the wrecks and you're at the back because it's safer, or the very front. The middle is never good in either context. You're really screwed. You've got to pick either way. This isn't, blackjack or poker. This is very much a straight up roulette game. You've just got to pick red, pick black, and go with it.
And that brings up that differing philosophy of super speedway racing, right? You think of drivers who want to be at the front to avoid all the mayhem, and then the drivers who want to be all the way at the back. And the only way you could really ever see the results coming to fruition is by the time you're at the end of the race, and you have to pick and choose your moment. So right now, drivers on qualifying right now, about a minute 15 left until we officially decide the starting grid. You'll recognize that car and that famous number 99. That is Michael Cozy Jr., who's racing for Front Row Motorsports in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series this year, and repping the Altus Esports colors and the Chevrolet Camaro this evening. We have still drivers in their qualifying time. We have 21 on the charts, still have roughly 3 or so left in this one to qualify with about 45 seconds remaining. And Derek, we do have good news. Remember, Tyler Grinnell and Justin Champagne could not make this heat number 7. They weren't a part of it, even though they registered. They're a part of this one. So finally and for all, they'll have an opportunity to race to get into the Podium 500.
Yeah, there we go. So we were just one heat early in what we thought. And we're just about ready to go. You guys are wrapping up qualifying. And we'll see. Cozy, took a big run after qualifying. Sorry, I got caught up in that moment there. But yeah, I'm excited to see what's going to happen here in this heat and see how this all feels out. Of course, after tomorrow night, Podium will have the night off. Saturday, we'll come to you in the early morning, afternoon, and then we'll finish up on Sunday. But here comes the grid, Kenneth. Let's see how everyone qualified.
Head down trackside, give you your starting grid for heat number 8 for the 2023 Podium 500. Vicente Guerrero lines up the front row with a 49.788. He'll be the first to see the green. Chase Pierce on the outside in the 71 will join him in that very first row. Michael Cozy Jr. starts that 99 car in P3. Sean Boundy will be to his outside in P4, followed by Kenneth McCullough Jr. in the 03 P5. And then on the outside, it'll be John Ward in the 92 for P6, end of row number 3. Lawson Peel in the 15 rolls off P7 at the start of this heat. Brian LaPrat to his outside in P number 8. Mark Proctor and Justin Parham, Rachel Whiteford are the 2 last to round out your top 10 on the grid.
11th place is Mark Rondell with Sean Hill in 12th. Jamie Wright 13th place with Tyler Grinnell in 14th. Alan Wilson in 15th with Max Lang in 16th. Skip Gandy 17th with Justin Champagne, making it here in 18th place. Jay Becker in 19th with Chris Schubert in 20th. Behind them is going to be Zachary Ward, Aaron Smith, Rick Sybans, and Joe Zollo.
So that's your entire 24 car field for heat number 8. We had 26, but then we obviously had 24 with Justin Champagne and Tyler Grinnell not making that last heat, so they're here. So 24 total, just like we had a couple of moments ago. So obviously, Derek, we had a full green race, lap number 1 and lap number 20. I like the point that you brought up to Rachel about how it changes the approach possibly for these drivers. And I know we got some high-level talent, Michael Cozy Jr., we have Brian LaPrade, we have a bunch of other drivers in here. So how do you try and play this? Are you kind of hanging on to the hopes of the last heat, or are you just going to...
No, not even a little bit.
No.
What happened there was that was like finding a unicorn in the wild. That it's like finding a shiny Pokemon. That's not supposed to happen when you're out hunting and playing Pokemon Go. No, you're gonna stick with the strategy you have. You know, talking to you as a team owner. I have a teammate in a race later tonight. The strategy would be the same. Be comfortable. You know, find yourself in the back of the draft. Be ready for the wreck. We'll find our way forward. You can't. What just happened there was basically like a hole-in-one at Sawgrass on the 17th hole, on the island hole. That doesn't happen every day, Kenneth, and it probably won't happen again, unfortunately.
So we're ready to get the green flag. Go ahead, Rachel.
No, go ahead.
I'm just going to say we're ready to get green flag. And just a reminder for all those watching on Podium 2, we do have also coverage of the MPI Winter Elite Series, or the Elite Winter Series Xfinity cars at Kansas. That's on the main Podium Esports Twitch channel. And we also have a Bearded Sim Racer, our very own Ryan Bauer, with the iRacing Short Course National Series. So a lot of sim racing to take in on this Thursday night. Pace cars down, Vicente Guerrero and Chase Pierce ready for the green flag. We're underway in heat number 8. Lap number 1 complete. Chase Pierce at the front of the field, and for the second straight heat, Rachel Wyford, we have the leader not lead the field by the time we complete lap number 1. Guerrero got sent partially sideways by Michael Cozy Jr., driver in front of him right now, and that's John Ward looking for the lead out of turn 2.
Yeah, it is, and we've got another really solid start to a race here. These guys putting in good numbers. And so far, the top lane still proven again to be really strong here. But I think this wind is probably a factor in this. Judging by direction, we're looking at southwest, so they're getting a shove up the back straight. It's really benefiting the top line, I think.
And that's 26 miles an hour, too, on the wind, Derek. That's a lot of wind. Usually at the sim, I'd see maybe accustomed to 5 to 10, which is a little bit of wind. It does affect you aerodynamically, but 26, 27, that is a huge, huge amount of wind that's blowing in a certain direction, and it does affect the way these cars handle, because in the middle of the draft, you can get very loose in this pack type of race with this next-gen car, so you have to be ultimately careful if you're in the middle here.
No, it can have a big impact, and so, I mean, it's the same all nights. Hopefully drivers are watching other heats. They know it's coming. We've talked about it all night long. But for the first time in a while, Kenneth, we got 2 big lines side by side here coming down the back straight into the corner. The top line still has some more cars, but right now, the bottom line is your leader, and they're out of 4.
And they're out of 4. They're side drafting for the lead, and that is John Ward way up the track in front of Chase Pierce. That almost could have caused a crash. Some chirping over the radio by Brian LaPrade. They spread the field out. One car into the outside wall. That's Tyler Grinnell sideways at the exit of the trial wall. And caution is out for the first time in heat number 8, lap number 4.
Well, we jinxed it.
We did jinx it. This, to me, Kenneth, looks like the old Dale Jr. controlling the draft style maneuver. And you know what? Oh, there's actually a wreck behind them. I think this is after that happens, though. And there's Grimmel just in the wall, unfortunately. but I think this is all related. This is one big continuous process, in my opinion. The checkups from your leader making that back and forth move, I think check the lines up and leads to this, in my opinion.
It's just a huge sandwich, and we also mentioned, Rachel, the amount of checkups that you could experience in the middle of the field on either the inside or the outside line, and you could easily become a victim of it. And for Tyler Grinnell, really nothing he could do, just got checked up, and he got hit from both the front and the rear, and all of a sudden that 68 with some damage on the right front. I don't believe it's enough to end his race for good, but if you're Grinnell, Rachel, this is not the way you want to start this heat.
No, it's not. It's really going to have an impact, and I think this changes the dynamic of this race. We've had an early caution, so I think that will definitely play into this because it's going to have more follow it. That is something we have to be concerned about because it's changing the pace. These guys can't get into a groove, and the groove really does help you maintain a long green period.
Yeah, I do want to mention, guys, unfortunately, Tyler does have a meatball flag. iRacing mill officials will make him come in and fix some of those repairs. So he will have to go ahead and burn his fast repair this early in the race. He could not keep racing with that car.
And for Grinnell, he'll drop to the rear of the field. 22nd he will be. We also do have word that Rick Seabrands and Joe Zolo, unfortunately, did not make the green flag, so that puts us down to 22 cars on the racetrack. And this time with John Ward in the race lead. So, as we're under caution for the first time in heat number 8, I do want to touch on this Podium 500 itself because I know it's been going on for a couple of years now. We went from Gen 6 to the next gen car. Last year was a very big transition to this car, new for the year at the time in NASCAR Cup competition, and it's just a lot of fun watching the entire field come down into every single heat, regardless of how chaotic they are. You just get to see the diversity, all the different drivers, and you can recognize them from Premier Level Series like the Coke Series or Road to Pro, Contender, or maybe even from a local league. There's just so much opportunity at a race like the Podium 500 where you can be up against these top-level drivers and you could show up for yourself. Guys like John Ward, Vicente Guerrero, Chase Pierce, they're known across the sim racing community by their friends, by Leagues Day Racing, and then there's guys like Michael Cozy Jr. making his rookie season in the Coke Series for 2023.
And there's one of the keys to an event like the Podium 500 is accessibility. It's sort of what you hit on. This event's open to anyone with an iRacing account who owns the next gen car and Daytona. There's not an iRating requirement this year, so anyone can come in here and do it. And it's really can be sometimes proof that iRating is not the ultimate, when it comes to defining skill. And I love how accessible this event is to everyone. You get to come in, you race with guys you watch on Twitch. You race with guys who you consider to be legends or heroes within the iRacing community. Casey Kerwin was in here last night. Briar LaPrad's in this one. Michael Guest, I think, is up later tonight. It's a chance to rub fenders with those guys in a moment where we don't always get the chance to. I love this event.
And Michael Guest, not only just him, Malik Ray, Nathan Rabideau. You have so many, Justin Malillo in there as
Daniel
well.
Eberhardt's
Rachel.
in here.
Yeah, Daniel Eberhardt, who's the previous winner, by the way, of the Podium 500 a couple of years back. So, Rachel, it's just insane how much talent we have and the diversity of drivers. And then the heats that we see the list of and then we get to look forward to later in the night.
Yeah, we really do. And it will definitely be playing on the minds of a lot of these drivers, both coming before and after this, how these guys are all performing. They'll be watching each other's race to see just what kind of behavior is going to be like. And it's going to be a big factor, I think, with this one, especially with this restart here on 7, going to 8, I should say. It's this early kind of midpoint where there's still a lot to play for, but we're still looking at maybe 12 laps to go. It's going to be busy.
And that's a big point you make there, Rachel, just trying to gauge the competition, because you look at the drivers here that would be advancing into the duel: John Ward, Vicente Guerrero, Michael Cozy Jr., Chase Pierce, and Lawson Peel. Then everybody 6th through 13th, going all the way down to, I believe, Aaron Smith in the 70, all going to make it to the LCQ. When you watch these drivers, you get to see in that third-person view what they're doing, how aggressive they are in the draft, who they're relying on to work with, some drivers that they're trying to avoid out on the track. So many tendencies you can gauge. Obviously, it's way different from when you actually race them on track, because obviously contexts are different, but if you can get just a little bit of that assumption of what they're like to race on the racetrack, it could give you some extra notes and might help you work with them later on in your quest for the Podium 500 win, or might just help you stay away from them and make sure you know what their tendencies are. Ready for the green flag at lap number 8 of 20 in the middle of heat number 8. It's John Ward, Vicente Guerrero to the green flag. And a big jump by John Ward, but immediately mitigated by Vicente Guerrero's push by Chase Pierce. Both of them going to even in turns 1 and 2. The 14 going to get the nose out ahead, but Ward strikes back on the top. Michael Cozy Jr., Rachel Whiteford giving the push.
Yeah, big push on the outside line again. We keep seeing it being so strong here. It's Ward, Guerrero, Cozy Jr. up there who are really being potent at the moment. And that bottom line, 14 leading things there with Guerrero is just not hooking up quite as well, I think, as they probably could. But they're going to give it a run here. You'll see it like back into 1 and 2 again.
The shuffle there, Guerrero gets a little bit loose off of the front end of Chase Pierce as a look on board with your race leader, John Ward, and just how smooth that push is from the Coach Series driver. And he's going to get shuffled out of line, Derek Watson, into turn 1. Cozy to the race lead. Lawson Peel to follow through to second.
There must have been something about that feeling that Cozy didn't like, so he just went ahead and jumped to the outside. And now it's going to get around the race leader. Now Cozy and that Altus Esports machine is going to be your race leader if he makes it back around. And once again, we're seeing that top line be dominant. I used to think it was a matter of patience, Kenneth. Maybe not, although here comes John Ward with a beautiful push on the inside.
And nice push there to Ward. Michael Cozy Jr. looking to side draft. And Rachel, that's a big thing that you can do with these NASCAR Next Gen cars. And it was also prevalent in the Gen 6 era of NASCAR Cup Series cars. You could side draft the driver on the inside or the outside, get their quarter panel, and suck them back in. And that may be extremely pivotal, especially now since we're 3 wide. The 0-3 of Kenneth McCullough Jr. trying to make it work all by himself. And here comes another challenge for the lead. Chase Pierce on the outside of John Ward. They'll make contact, and Pierce hits the outside wall.
More than that, 70 to the wall too.
Guys, sorry, that's the second time we've seen John Ward make that kind of move where he's trying to control both lanes and that Dale Earnhardt Jr. style. I'm going to say as a color person in this booth, that is one of the most dangerous moves in iRacing, and I wish it didn't exist. Oh, yellow's out,
Caution
Kenneth.
flag, crash in the back of the field. Mark Von Dell, Skip Gandy, among others involved, the 70 of Aaron Smith. Justin Champagne in the 21. And so second caution out at around halfway. 10 laps to go in heat number 8. And we have trouble as they were 3 wide in the middle of the field. We'll see exactly how it all started. And it was one driver, the 0-3 of Kenneth McCullough, got into Brian LaPrade, Rachel, and that causes the incident.
Yeah, it does here, unfortunately. It's just one of those moments that you get. You'll see it, you saw it there on the screen, of course. It's just... there's no room for error at these places. There really isn't. You get that mistake and it's all over before you can do anything on board here. You'll see it side by side. We see the car up ahead, and then we see them coming through 3, and it is the lightest little moment as up he comes a dip and he turned himself across his nose, honestly.
It just came up the track at a turn 4, not sure why. But LaPrade gets stuck into that. The 70 machine, like we said, Aaron Smith and Skip Gandy goes for a hard hit to the inside wall. One of the few Toyotas in this heat. There's Brian LaPrade and his Ledford Billiard Supply, number 19, rather, getting stuck in the grass. And so I think for Brian LaPrade, his race, his heat might just be over. Had to tow to pit road. He is 1 lap down and counting. Remember, the drivers do have a faster pair available to them, so... obviously, Derek, you can get a clean race car, but this is a spell of disaster for LaPrade here as he gets stuck in the grass, much like the real-life drivers did in the Daytona 500 last year. Has to tow it to pit road, and it looks like his chase for this year's Podium 500 might just come to an end.
Yeah, the question would be how long is that tow? And I don't know. How long will iRacing tow him,
3 minutes.
to pit road? Well, he's near pit road, so I don't know. Like, that would be the real question. That could be Rachel, but yeah, we'll wait and see. I was talking about that move a second ago, and I want to come back to that to you guys. That move that we're seeing made more and more in iRacing, I call it the Dale Jr. move. It's from the mid 2000s Super Speedway, where he just wanted to control both lines. That is one of the most dangerous moves in iRacing, and often doesn't work well. I don't know if you guys have an opinion on it, but I cringe every time I see that move happen because very few people can pull that off well.
I do have an opinion, and it's controversial because I like it. However, most people get it wrong. You're not controlling both lines in terms of pulling by locking off the lines. That's not what's happening. What you're doing in that situation is you're pulling each line. You're not blocking them, you're pulling them. So you sit in the outside lane, you pull that lane forward, then you drop down to the bottom, killing the airflow to the top line, which sends them backwards, and then you pull up the bottom line. So you're controlling it by advancing each line and then dropping them. It's not that you're trying to block them off and kill a run. If you try and block them off and kill a run, that's how you get dumped. But if you do it by actually pulling them properly, then it actually is a very effective strategy, especially in pack racing now we're out of that tandem era.
Kenneth, do you have a thought on the move?
I think it's pretty dangerous just depending on who you are, because with this next gen car, especially what I've noticed, and I think the drivers notice it easily as well, especially since it started in the sim. There's Brian LaPrade finally coming back onto the track, although he is going to be one lap down, mired back in 22nd rear end of the field. Those moves obviously can work if you do it right, but the last thing you want to do, especially with this next gen car, is let the drivers behind you get such a huge run. Because if you pull out so far ahead, those drivers immediately start to swarm on your rear bumper. One last push and you're gone. You're going to be gone. You're either wrecking the field with you or you're just getting turned by your lonesome. So I do like the idea of controlling both lanes if you're a driver. Obviously, that's what you want to do. You want to control the field as much as possible, but again, it's so dangerous. You have to have so many moving parts go into your favor for that move to go out. And obviously, everybody give you the respect to slow down and get you on the rear bumper and not just run through you. So it's a pretty dangerous move. We've seen it happen a couple of times here with this next-gen car at Daytona. So, I mean, we'll see exactly if anyone pulls any more in the next 7 laps.
So, note for you guys, we saw Donovan Strauss make the big move earlier through the field to get qualified out on heats for heat of the night. Brian LaPrade's a lap down. He's the only car a lap down. If a caution, if a caution, what the hell's a caution? If a caution comes out,
it's a caution in New York.
If a caution comes out early, he will get a lap back and still eligible to make it out of this race.
But he needs the yellow, and that's the biggest question mark that we have if there's going to be another one by the end of this heat. Chase Pierce, Sean Boundy, the 71 and the 34 bring us through the restart zone and back to the green flag. It'll be 7 laps to go in heat number 8. And a car around in the rear of the field. Couple of cars in it, and I believe one of them is Zachary Ward in the 9. Yes, it is. Aaron Smith, Justin Champagne, and that is the saving grace, Derek, for Brian LaPrade. He'll be back on the lead lap.
No, unfortunately, he will not, Kenneth, because he is involved in this caution.
Oh, well, there it is. Well, he got a piece of that end on the rear end, so apologize there, but it started with Champagne. Just got a huge run on the restart, tried to make it through the middle 3 wide, and just pummeled into the rear end of Zachary Ward's machine. You'll see it again as they check up on the inside. Just a sluggish start. I think it started with Mark Von Del Rachel, who did not get up to speed as quickly as everybody in front of him did. Champagne tries to take advantage, and Champagne causes the wreck.
Yeah, unfortunately, that will happen. Oh, it's one of those messy ones. You can't just push that far back. You cannot push them because there's cars in front, and they're gonna be. It's gonna happen.
Here's from LaPrade.
And here's LaPrade of the 19 on the rear end of what looks to be Kenneth McCullough Jr. Bam, right there on the front end, just gets hit. Obviously, really can't see what's going on in front of him, apart from the smoke that comes at the last second. And LaPrade involved in this caution.
So yeah, I know we like to make the assumption everyone watching, watches or consumes or uses iRacing. In case you don't, let's explain this to you. And this is probably a little different than how real life NASCAR works. According to iRacing, when the moment the caution comes out, there is a lucky dog rule, but if you are involved in that caution, even if you just back into the end of it by accident, iRacing will take that from you. So unfortunately, Briar is not going to be the lucky dog here. He'll remain a lap down.
I mean, the way this is going, guys, I don't think he'll be too shy of catching another one in a moment, because...
I think we're out of time to catch another one.
Oh, yeah. No, unfortunate.
And we'll catch 4 laps to go here. There's a look at LaPrade now crossing the triangle. He's going to try to catch up to the rest of the field. There were a lot of drivers who did hit pit road, and that starts, I believe, with Tyler Grinnell in 17th. A lot of these drivers coming in. Remember, we're still watching the top 5 cut line and the top 13. So the driver's still in. And the last one in terms of the LCQ for the Podium 500 will be Chris Schubert in the 66. In your top 5, it'll be Lawson Peel as the last one into the duel. Everybody 4th on forward also will make it to the duels this weekend. And obviously everybody 6 on through that 13th place car makes it to the last chance qualifier. And we'll see if we get more so of a 1-lap shootout, maybe a 2-lap shootout here, Derek. I know we had it a couple of heats back before we had our full green affair in heat number 7. So we'll see what race control officially decides. But that means here, I mean, LaPrade, it looks like he's starting to really accept his fate. He's not going to get that lucky dog. He's sitting on pit road. And for Chase Pearson Company, they're going to look to try and win this heat or just try to advance.
Yep. You know what I noticed here, by the way, Kenneth, on our ticker on the left-hand side of your screen, 16th on back went ahead and made a pit stop here. So basically right at the cut line. Now, I know we don't think tires are the big deal at Daytona like they are at, Kansas, Michigan, Pocono, Vegas, insert other track here. But 16th on back all made that stop together. That's sort of interesting to me to see what comes of this, if anything. Maybe slightly better tires. These cars are a little loose in the, I think it's coming into the corners on the bottom. So I just found it interesting that everyone kind of did that, and I want to see what impact it has.
It's going to be one to watch for, and Rachel, as we do get the lights off on the iRacing official pace car. For everybody 2nd on back, are you just going to hang around and just wait for this one to end, or are you just going to try and play full offense to grab some Heat 8 win?
I go full offense in this stage. You just got to. This is it now.
Remember, $50 to the Heat winner, so a little bit on the line here. It's not like you get nothing. You do get that cash incentive. So for Chase Pierce, he'll be $50 richer if he could stay at the front. But one thing we do know about pack racing, and most notably about these next-gen cars, really anything can change in a matter of moments. And for these cars, for Sean Bounty, Michael Cozy Jr., John Ward, we've seen them make a couple of moves throughout this heat while it has been green. So safe to say we might see some more. Briar LaPrade is just disconnected. It looks like his shot for a Podium 500 entrance is officially over, and unfortunate to see him. But we will see him back in Road to Pro action this year. I believe next week Road to Pro action will start. LaPrade was eliminated from the eNASCAR Contender Series last fall, so looking to get back to the top level of eNASCAR competition, where he last raced for Junior Motorsports in the number 88 Ledford Billiard Supply Chevy Camaro. So ready for the green, lap number 18 of 20 into the final 3 laps in heat number 8. Chase Pierce, your leader, Sean Bounty, 2nd, Michael Cozy Jr., 3rd, John Ward, and Vicente Guerrero all in to the duel. Everybody 6 on back, falling to Sean Hill in the 17 into the LCQ. Pace cars down, Chase Pierce grabs the gas pedal. We're under green in heat number 8, once more with 3 laps to go.
This is the big one. Will they keep this clean? Will they put a foot wrong here? Because we crossed the line. This is over. Well, this is over regardless. We get a caution, but then we have 2 laps. Then it is over. They race the line no matter what happens. So they've got to manage this for 2 laps.
Guys, watch for Cozy to move down here. That's what I'm waiting for. Cozy to that big push here on the outside. He's going to get a big lead here. Maybe he's not going to go to the inside, because if he does now, he'll get sucked up by the draft. But he's going to push. And now they're pushing the pusher. This is going to get dangerous, Kenneth.
And a car on the outside wall. That was Vicente Guerrero. He's going to get split on the outside. 3 wide. Here comes a bunch of cars mowing their way through the 36. Mark Proctor. A couple of others going up. Sean Bounty going up into the draft. And top 2 might just be in the catbird seat. Here comes John Ward to the outside. Cozy and Pierce trying to find a lane to go back to turn 1.
Now into turn 1, here we go. I believe that's John Ward back on the bottom. Solid wreck behind him. Race is over.
Big crash, huge one involving multiple drivers. Justin Parham, one of them. Caution is out. Heat number 8 will come to a close under the yellow flag. Looks like Aaron Smith again caught up into it. Mark Proctor, Jay Becker in the number 10, Aaron Smith. Like we said, Aaron Smith already. Sean Hill in the 17. And a big crash. Again, desperation kicking in. There were 3 wide, Rachel, and all of a sudden, driver makes contact with another, and that's the big one.
Yes, regretty spaghetti happened on the track because holding lines in these sort of wins could be really, really hard. I think 3 wide is asking a lot in 25 miles an hour, especially if we're getting wind change, because that will just throw them together.
We'll take another look at it. This is from Justin Champagne's view on the front end of his Ford Mustang. In the middle 3 wide, he moves up top. The contact will happen just a couple car lengths up the road right there. That's Parham, and then there's the 36 of Mark Proctor. And that immediately catches everybody with it. Just no space to maneuver. Champagne, though, does a fantastic job to get through all of that. Champagne will be in 12th, so I believe he should be eligible. He'll make it in to the last chance qualifier just via survival in that last lap. And as the caution remains, we stay underneath the iRacing official pace car. Looks like Derek Chase Pierce, $50 richer. He will win heat number 8.
So he is in. He'll make the duels on Saturday. So will former Firecracker 400 winner Michael Cozy, and John Ward, Vicente Guerrero, and Sean Boundy will be in. And then Kenneth McCullough Jr., Lawson Peel, Max Lang, Jamie Wright, Chris Schubert, Alan Wilson, Tyler Grimmel, who we saw earlier, by the way, and Justin Champagne will round out those going to the LCQs from this heat.
So big for all of them. They'll get to continue their route to Podium 500 glory. There's Champagne. Definitely happy as Kevin Champagne won the heat a couple of heats ago. And Champagne going to celebrate, going to burn it down. It's not a win officially, but it does feel like a win to advance in that fashion as Chase Pierce will move ahead of the pace car. Everybody will come to a complete stop. We are over for heat number 8. Let's take a look at your full field results from car finishing in P number 1 to car finishing in P22 at the end of 20 laps. And after a caution ending couple of laps here from the virtual Daytona International Speedway, Chase Pierce is the winner in heat number 8. He will be $50 richer from here on out. Michael Cozy Jr. finishes in P2. John Ward will be 3rd. Vicente Guerrero will be inside the top 4. He was your pole sitter in this heat. Sean Boundy, the last one to qualify for the dual races. So all 5 of those will head for the dual races this weekend. Then goes Kenneth McCullough Jr. in the 03. Lawson Peel in the 15. Max Lange in the number 6. Jamie Wright, Chris Schubert, Alan Wilson, Justin Champagne, and Tyler Grinnell, the last ones into the LCQ.
Behind them, it is going to be Zachary Ward with Mark Rundell, Sean Hill in 16th, Aaron Smith 17th, Skip Gandy 18th with Justin Parham, and Jay Becker rounding at your top 20. Behind them, it's Mark Proctor, Brian Lepad, and Rick Cybrans.
So that is your entire field. There's Joe Zollo as well in the 13. Both Cybrans and Zollo did not make the green flag in heat number 8. So Chase Pierce, the winner in heat number 8. We'll head to heat number 9, and we'll talk about the talent in that 9th heat coming up in just a couple of moments. You're watching coverage of heat racing for the 5th annual Podium 500 live on Podium Esports. 8 down, 2 more to go for Heat Racing for the 5th annual Podium 500. Welcome back to our coverage on Podium Esports and live on twitch.tv/Podium 2. Kenneth Bueno, Derek Watson, and Rachel Whiteford to join you for the action. And Derek, I'll start with you. We've had a lot of different types of races through the heats. I know you've watched a couple of heats before I even joined the booth in heat number 7, but heat number 9 might just be the marquee heat. So many different great drivers in this field, from Coke Series talent to media personalities on the sim. And here's a look at obviously advancing. This is the win from Chase Pierce in the 71 in the last heat, but heat 9, Derek, might just be the heat of the Podium 500, at least maybe for tonight.
Oh, this is probably going to be the heartbreaker heat, Kenneth, because there's so many names here that people know. Nathan Rabideau, Justin Malolo, Johnny Avila, I think Malik Raisin here, Chris Papa. The list goes on and on. I mean, I can just name most of this field. This is going to be a hard one to let go. But Kenneth, I'll be honest, to be a little selfish, I get to have the Tony Stewart role this heat. I'm going to watch the race and I'm going to commentate it. But I got a teammate in here, and I'm kind of quietly pulling for him. So we'll see how this goes.
And we'll talk about that as well. Your team driver here racing in heat number 9. But Rachel, I'll turn to you on that point of having drivers like teammates of Derek or drivers in the Coke Series. I can imagine the level of pressure now that we're heading to the final 2 heats has to be at an all-time high.
Yeah, absolutely is. And this will be a big factor for these guys. We've got some major players, which means major egos and major talent. And that leads to major mistakes. So we could see a perfect race, or we could see an absolute clanger. It's going to entirely depend on how this one goes and who thinks they are the top dog.
So right now, qualifying inside its final 2.5 minutes. And so we will, of course, get you the starting grid for heat number 9 of the 2023 Podium 500. So we have this heat for now. We'll go 20 laps, of course, like we always do. And then we'll get to heat number 10. That will be the final round of action that you'll see this evening on February 9th before we take tomorrow off and then kick everything back off on Saturday, decide the field of drivers that will race in the 500 on Sunday afternoon. So Derek here, of course, with the 2 different types of races we saw in the last 2 heats. Clean race from lap 1 to lap 20, then a little more of a caution fest, a couple more big wrecks. Now, what are you expecting here for Heat 9 when we have this level of field?
If I'm honest, I'm expecting a couple big wrecks. A lot of times, we have some drivers in here who I think it's fair to say are known to be aggressive. I don't think I'm speaking out of school when I make those comments. And those can lead to exciting moments as a viewer and exciting moments as a commentator. But they can lead to big moments on the racetrack and maybe collecting a big one here, at some point in this race.
And it'll be big to watch all of the expectations that we'll see. Again, we'll go into our heat format, and just like we've done for every other heat, 1 through 8, we go 20 laps, just around 50 miles here from the virtual Daytona International Speedway. Of course, $50 go to the winner of the heat. We have no green, white, checkered attempts. Fixed setup for everybody. 1 fast repair given to the field. 17x incident limit. And then the top 5 advance to the duels. P6 through P13. All of them will go to the last chance qualifier. Everybody else, 14th on back, all going to be eliminated. They'll have to try 1 year from this month, rather. I was going to say today, but not exactly today. We'll be in a different day on February next year. But nonetheless, qualifying now ticking down to 0. Rachel, a lot of the anxiety probably building up behind the wheel.
Absolutely. This is exactly what anxiety is. There's a lot riding on these guys, and there are a lot of expectations for these to be some of our winners for the race on Sunday. So they're really going to have this.
A lot of heavy hitters in this field. You think of Justin Malolo, who finished in the top 5 in last year's Podium 500. Malik Ray, who's regarded by many as one of the best, if not the best, super speedway racer on the sim. You've got Garrett Maines, eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver, who also finished well in last year's Podium 500 coming to the line. Nathan Rabideau, who was the outside pole sitter of the 500 just 1 year ago. So you've got so many different drivers that could easily go for the win in this heat and obviously advance into either the duels or the LCQ. Timer has ticked down in qualifying. We'll head trackside and give you the starting grid for the second to last heat for the 5th annual Podium 500 and our coverage right here on Podium Esports. it is Traction.gg's very own Justin Melillo who sets the fastest time in qualifying at a 49.790. He'll be the first to see the green. He'll be joined alongside by Timothy J. Moore in the number 74 machine. Steven Korosek in the number 27 will be third. Heath Snyder on the outside in P number 4. In row number 2, Kevin Fries in the number 25 will be P5. Bridger Olsen alongside at the exit of row number 3. Malik Ray starts the number 7 car in P7 out of all places in this race. Garrett Maines will be to his outside in the number 20 time machine in P8. Then the final 2 drivers inside your top 10, Michael Guest in the 28 and Christopher McCullough in the 15.
After that, it is Johnny Avila in the 11th spot with Justin Hughes in 12th, Nathan Rabideau in 13th. Big pedigree on that name. Ryan Johnson is in 14th, Scott Tompkins is 15th, Brandon Holder 16th place, Zachary Workman in 17th, Noah Bitts in 18th, Ryan White 19th, and 20th is Jacob Dunn.
21st will be Chris Papa in the 13th, 22nd to George Williams in the 40, Robbie Clavey, and Justin Winters will be 23rd and 24th when we see the green. Luis Calderon in the number 72 will be inside the top 25, and Monday Night Racing Zone, Steve Alfont in the number 20 will be in P26 when we take the green. Donnie Johnson is 27th, Ryan Hill is 28th, Brian Baker in 29th. Ryan Hill and Brian Baker are not supposed to be in this heat, so we will have 27 cars full here in the second to last heat of the night. Here's a post by Justin Melillo, and I have to imagine, Derek, at the top of the board, you've got so many Coke Series drivers behind you. You're leading them to green. Anxiety is probably the understatement at this point.
Anxiety. Come on, Justin. First off, congrats to Justin. Fastest quality time of the night, by the way, in any heat. But let's talk about Justin for a second. He's got rewards for photography, for race coverage writing. He was part of Traction.gg. He hosts so many events on iRacing throughout the year. What do you have to be anxious about? You're one of the best. Relax.
And Justin riding on a lot of highs. Of course, a big congratulations to all the awards he received over the past couple of months, whether it was from the VCO Simi Awards, from the NMPA Awards. Definitely a lot of great work that Justin Melillo does for the sim, and hopefully he can transfer that, obviously, into real-life competition as well. Green flag in the air for the first of 20 laps in heat number 9. Melillo and Timothy J. Moore lead us to turn 1. Already a move, middle 3 wide. That was Steven Korosek in the 27. He gets left out to dry. Melillo on the bottom side getting pushed by the 25 of Kevin Fries, but it's Timothy Moore in 3 and 4. Maintaining the lead for now. Melillo will take it back out of turn 4, Derek.
Yeah, out of turn 4 they come. It is an exciting side-by-side race. We got one below the line getting back in there, but Melillo is going to lead the first lap. Anxiety? I don't think so, but here we go. Got to move to the outside, Kenneth, and now they're going to challenge Melillo again.
And Melillo will be pushed by Malik Ray. The number 7 machine outside will be held by Kevin Fries, who goes up there, trying to pull up in front of Moore. That momentum does not work to their favor, at least for right now. It'll work on the Daytona Super Stretch. Now they get the big run. They'll nose ahead. Kevin Fries, Rachel Whiteford lead us to turn 3. Melillo will have to strike back with the Mustang behind him.
Yeah, he really will. It's going to be a pretty even run here through 3 and 4 as they come up now, trying to get themselves set here for a big run. Inside lines really got momentum coming out of here into the tri-oval. We'll see how this lasts as they come through 1 and 2, but it's strong so far. And a big move there. 29 goes to the outside. Looking to set a third lane, but no, it will fall apart pretty quickly and they'll drop back. The 2 using the sucker hole, going right to the rear. Everyone wants no part in that.
And back to turn 1, Malik Ray works with Michael Guest, the 2E NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver, move up to the outside, and they'll try and jump Justin Melillo, although it won't work completely. Johnny Avila giving a push to the number 53. There's a look at Malik Ray in the number 7. Him and Michael Guest, of course, 2 drivers in the Coke Series for 2023. Malik Ray driving for Jim Beaver Esports. Michael Guest driving for the 2311 Racing Team, along with Keegan Leahy in his car, so a lot of excitement for both of them. Here comes Johnny Avila to the outside out of turn 4. He'll take the lead. Rabideau looking for the middle 3 wide.
This is where it's getting a little sketchy here. Lots more movements going to start to happen. Malolo's going to be leading that bottom lane and the inside. I want to say, guys, we talked all night about patience. Could the bottom lane work? This is the most successful run we've seen in the bottom lane so far. It's starting to fall apart a little bit. Oh, wrecking it back.
Car in trouble near the rear. That is Ryan Johnson. He's got a couple of others with him. Justin Winters, Bridger Olsen among those collected. I think Donnie Johnson tucked up against the outside safer barrier. And after 4 laps complete, the caution is out for the first time in heat number 9. We'll try to figure out exactly how this all started. These drivers were roughly 3 wide in the back of the field. And I think it began with a wiggle away up the road, and that was Ryan Johnson that got tapped from the rear. Just got checked up. Nathan Rabideau was in the middle 3 wide, and then Johnson goes sideways and tags a couple of other drivers with him.
Yeah, it's unfortunately going to happen. You're really so careful. On this kind of track, it really will cost you so much. The slightest mistake.
And you made a really good point, Rachel. A couple of heats ago, the margin of error so small that you make a slight mistake, you get hit somewhere wrong on the rear bumper, and all of a sudden your car can get loose. And there's no saving that race car by then. There's a look at the extra contact here. It looked like that was Noah Bitts in the 87 that got into him. Here's a look from Jacob Dunn, who, Derek, of course, your teammate, who came into this wreck.
I don't want to see this. I hope. Come on, Jacob, get through it.
And this is right behind Bitts. Just checks up. A little bit of contact with the outside wall, but that'll buff out, right?
Oh,
wow.
Okay. Oh, nice job by Jacob getting that Tabit Rasa Esports car around that wreck. Man, she said, scrape the wall, but you know what? That's okay, given the other options. So let's move on.
Tabula Rasa, quick at work. Jacob Dunn still alive in this race, and he will be 21st by the time we get the green flag once again. Couple of drivers hitting pit road, one of them Bridger Olsen. It looks like Chris Papa in the 13 also going to come in for the lane, so they're going to come in for service. Obviously, fuel and tires not necessarily a big factor here. A lot of it might just be for some damage repair, or maybe just to get that fast repair, Rachel, to give them a little more assurance. And that fast repair is very big, but at the same time, it could also be very detrimental because you spend that time coming down pit road, you lose track position to get a clean race car, and then the problem is you look at the lap counter and all of a sudden you're more than halfway or you're almost done with this race, and then you have to figure out how to make so much track position in so little time.
Oh, they'll do that for you. If you've had 1 wreck, you can have a second. So, a pit for fast repair, buff it out. Yeah, it's a gamble, but it's a worthy gamble.
And so as the field remains behind the iRacing official pace car, it will be Johnny Avila in control of this race. Malik Ray in 2nd, Justin Melillo in 3rd, Michael Guest in 4th, and Scott Tompkins, the last one inside the top 5, all of them advancing to the duels. Kevin Fries, Timothy Moore, Ryan White, Heath Snyder, Brandon Holder, Garrett Main, Stephen Korosek, and Christopher McCullough are now the last drivers that currently advance into the last chance qualifier. Garrett Main's working his way up from 8th, or rather on the starting grid. He fell back to 11th in the middle of the draft. Main's not making any crazy moves, and Derek Main's part of a brand new team in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series for 2023. That is FGR XL eRacing, a team run by NASCAR driver Joe Graff Jr. So Maines, who ran for Elliott Sadler Esports just 1 season ago, he's now with a brand new team, brand new manufacturer, brand new colors, and an exciting year for sure.
Yeah, and of course we know Maines from last year 500 and all across eNASCAR, you know, the Coca-Cola series and whatnot. So sometimes a team change is good for you. Sometimes a change of scenery, just different people to talk to bounce ideas off of. You know, that's always great things to happen. And so congrats to Garrett on this new team. It is a new look for him this year. I hope it goes well, and he's got a long season ahead of him.
And teammates with Joey Brown, who qualified from the eNASCAR Contender iRacing Series a couple of months ago. So a brand new team, the Coke Series. Always exciting to see new teams and new drivers come in, and so many of the new features that happen at the top level of eNASCAR, and obviously them all converging here at the Podium 500 and racing these heats together. And we'll double them up for a restart here on lap number 8 of 20. Rachel, I think the most dangerous thing to watch for here on the restart is that double group, the dynamic duo, On the outside of row number 1 and row number 2, Michael Guest, Malik Ray, they've already worked so well over the first 4 laps. They may work even better by the time they're lined up here for the restart.
Yeah, absolutely. I expect we'll see that. Ray and Villa, they're going to be really, really strong here, so that has to be something you keep an eye on.
So ready for the green flag to continue heat number 9. Again, this is our penultimate heat of the evening here on Podium Esports. We'll have one more heat number 10, and then we'll close out our coverage right here on Podium 2. Remember, if you also want some more sim racing action, you can tune into Podium Esports. They are still live with the MPI Elite Winter Series Xfinity cars at Kansas. Johnny Avila, Malik Ray, the number 63, the number 7, into the restart zone. They stack up on the bottom slightly, but we're back under green in Heat 9.
Guys, for the first time in a while tonight, we've seen this. Look how tightly tucked up under Malolo was. That's a good job by Malolo being ready to go.
Malolo on the gas pedal. He'll give the push to Avila for right now. Unsuccessful in their attempts to catch back up and get side by side with this duo at the top lane. Michael Guest staying on the rear bumper of Malik Ray. They've got Kevin Freeze right there, the third car on the outside as it stands. Avila now the last car inside the top 5, 3 wide near the rear of the field. But obviously we're going to be clean and green through there. Malik Ray going to lead him out of turn 4.
Yeah, good run here. Outside still strong. Bottom lane's going to get a good run in this one, and we'll see if they can push this.
Crashing! Malilo involved! Into the outside wall. Big stack up on the tri-oval. And that takes out roughly half of the field. I see Steve Alfont, Heath Snyder, Robbie Clavey, Justin Hughes, Luis Calderon, and more. First big accident, lap number 9. As they chased for the tri-oval, and I think it started with Freeze in the 25 was pushing Michael Guest, or rather not, it was the car right behind him that got into Justin Malillo.
I think there's 2 separate incidents in actuality here, Kenneth, because there's a car that shoots off to the left of the track ahead of the wreck, and then there's the wreck that was Malillo, I believe. Let's take a look again here.
Slight mistake for Brandon Holder, who out of turn 4. You'll see it here on the back end of that white and blue Chevy Camaro, 4th in line on the outside. Just gets slightly tapped by the 9 machine of Holder, and obviously no intent there by Holder. Just went down the track, and it was just bad placement, wrong place, wrong time, and Malillo gets a tough end to this wreck after being tagged right as the cars are coming down the racetrack. Here's another look at it turn 4, and obviously Rachel, nothing that Malillo could do. Here's a look on board from the 9 machine of Holder.
Oh god, that's unfortunate. It's one of those situations that you just wish you could avoid, but he thought he was clear and he got clipped. I feel so bad for him.
Now again, all these drivers given a faster pair in this race as we cross for lap number 10. So Malillo going to come in for pit road, and a bunch of others to follow. Scott Tompkins, Ryan White, Robbie Clavey, Steve Alfont, Heath Snyder, Brandon Holder. I mean, this was roughly half of the field involved, and that's Nathan Rabideau there on the outside. Here's a look at Steve Alfont, driver that we see often in the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. Sees the smoke. Alfont tries to go through the middle, and nothing he could do either. Just gets pummeled on the right side and goes for a passenger ride.
Yeah, I saw the 33 in that. We'll hope we see what he does here. But I got a question for you guys. We talked about this earlier with Joe Peak in the first heat of the night, heat 6. And I cannot though ask you now, if you're in this spot here, we're halfway through, you have a fast repair available. Assuming you don't have the meatball flag, assuming iRacing is not going to make you come get repairs because you're too damaged, do you want to burn that fast repair right now? Or do you maybe want to wait one more caution and see if you can maybe just, like, avoid one more wreck? Or what do you think the correct strategy is?
I think you burn it now. I don't think there's a reason to wait this long because the laps are only going to wind down. And if you get another caution, you're going to burn that fast repair. And guess what? You're only going to have maybe 3 or 2 laps left in this race. So I'd say if you're in this position halfway through, then that call might just be to burn that fast repair right now, have a clean race car. And with this track, with this next-gen car, aerodynamics are so important. and you can't really afford to have a crinkle on the right front or a crinkle anywhere because it can really affect your speed in the middle of a draft. And if you want to go up to the front, the last thing you want to do is be slowed down by your own car. So you definitely want to take the fast repair now, have that deal done with, and then just try and run your race all the way to at least the top 13. Rachel, do you think fast repairs would be viable now, or do you think you're going to have to play the waiting game a little longer?
In a way, if you want to be competitive, you got to. There is no other choice. Even the last gen car, you kind of had to. You could never fully fix the car, even if you had all the repairs done. It was never fixed. You have to use the fast repair if you want a chance to really compete, because it just does not. It will not be the same. In fact, with these cars, there's more chance of you dropping off the back with a fully repaired but not fast repaired car. Even fully repaired, you might not even be able to stay with them in secondary. So you can't afford the gamble on lap 11 to 20.
I would agree, guys. Let's talk about real quick while we're double file on the back straight and pace car lights are out. This is maybe the heat with the most human spotters I've noticed so far tonight. There's 2, 3, 4, 8, maybe 9 different cars with human spotters. That is such an advantage when wrecks like that happen, to have a human spotter versus the iRacing spotter in there. That I think we talked earlier, Rachel, in the first heat with Joe about underrated skills, about practicing your pit stops. Having a spotter, to me, that's also an underrated skill that we don't think about.
Oh, it absolutely is. I actually worked spotter for a teammate in Road to Pro a couple of years ago. God, this was 2017, a decade ago for the Zoomers. Well, no, 5 years, 6. Either way, it's a humongous advantage because you can see it coming. You can look up the track where they can't. You can see ahead of this. You can plan. You can work out who's going where. Even if there's not a wreck, just picking which line to be and which line's working. You can get that information so fast. It's a huge thing. And here we go, ready to go green again. Ray and Guest. It's a big jump at the start.
Something quite like hearing check up with the drive with somebody in your ear, the spotter, as the green flag waves again. Lap number 12 of 20. Malik Ray immediately jumps to the high side in front of Michael Guest. You can tell they're working together, Derek, heading for turn 1. Avila will have help here this time by Timothy Moore in the 74. But watch for that outside lane out of turn 2. You cannot ignore the run you get out of the 31 degrees of banking. Big shove by Guest. Malik Ray clear by a couple of car lengths in the race lead.
Yeah, you can tell, and that's such a benefit to have someone you trust. We talked about this earlier, I think, in one of the heats about making friends or making enemies with the way you hang people out to dry. But when you have a friend to work with who you trust to be all over your back bumper, like
Villa sideways, more up into the field. Caution flag will wave for certain with 8 laps to go, and that was tough for Timothy Moore. I see Ryan White, Kevin Freeze. Well, Kevin Freeze was 3rd in the lane before this all happened, and so tough again for the drivers as Avila just got whipped sideways. And we talk again, Rachel, about pushing in the middle of the corner. These curved rear bumpers, you make one wrong tap, car is going to go sideways, and Avila goes around. Everybody else gets collected.
Again, that's not changed either since the last gen. Yeah, they had a square bumper, but pushing in the corners is always death. It's one of those things where it's really not always worth doing. You could just about do it if you're really, really good and you're really lucky there's no netcode, but it's always a risk. It is a dangerous thing to go for.
Let's look at Justin Malillo. Remember, he was involved in the last caution prior to this. He's on the inside, just chilling, hanging out, sees the trouble. And
That's
unbelievable
beautiful.
avoidance.
Hold on. Oh, we're not done.
Oh,
that went on
now,
forever.
now that's letting out the sigh of relief. You're holding your breath that entire time. You have to be.
Oh, man, that went on forever, Kenneth.
That's about a corner and a half of a wreck. At the exit of turn 4, and then going all the way to the tri-oval. And Justin Malillo works his way through, and that moves him up to well, look, see exactly. He is P20 on the racetrack because he's hitting pit road now. So I think he's getting some extra damage repair on the number 53. You can see some of the crinklage on the right side of the Ford Mustang. But I want to point out this question now that we're under caution again, Rachel. And you look at the strength of Malik Ray and Michael Guest. And I know Johnny Avila, Timothy Moore were all trying to work together before that slight incident, a mistake there, and just a slight bit of contact. When you're seeing this dynamic duo, are you pressuring yourself to try and work together with other people and to try and get around them and to try to make sure they don't have a chokehold on the field, or are you just going to chill out and just let them do their thing?
I think a little bit of both. You've got to try and balance when you do it and when you don't, when you let them have the head and when you try and reel them in. You got to kind of wear them out, let them push, and then you can bite them.
One driver on pit road, that is Justin Winters, who I believe right now is scored as the leader. But obviously that will cycle around. The actual leader is still Malik Ray in the number 7 machine. Michael Guest in 2nd. Zachary Workman 3rd. Christopher McCullough will be 4th. And Timothy Moore will have the last spot inside the top 5. Of course, all of those guys going to the duels if they hold on inside 7 laps to go. So we should get the lights out on the iRacing official pace car. And I feel like it only just gets more aggravating, Derek, when you're looking at restarts inside single-digit laps to go. And these races, I mean, as us in the commentators booth, they have been flying by. Lap 1, lap 20, even with cautions, they seem to be going by rather quick. For these drivers, it has to be the same, if not accelerated, no?
It's aggravating for a team owner. Yes, it's aggravating for a driver. Yes, it's aggravating to see. It's hard to sit up here and watch a teammate having these problems. And, man, he's hit lots of things. Not on his fault, but, oh, man. But, yeah, no, you're right. These races move fast. There's a thing I talk about in commentary all the time, Kenneth, which is time is relative. That means if you're the leader, if you are Malik Ray, these laps are not moving fast enough right now. They're just taking like 9 years per lap, basically. If you're, Steve Affont, Ryan Johnson, George Williams in the back who need to make moves, these laps are moving way too fast. So that's just sort of how racing happens all the time. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens. But yeah, I'm stressed out over here, guys.
It's a different feeling when your driver's out there on the track, or even someone you know out there on the racing surface. Jacob Dunn right now inside the top 10. So this is good news for Dunn, good news for you, Derek. You get to calm down a little bit more, but we're going to be having a restart inside 5 laps to go. So we'll rerun the order for you once more. Malik Ray, your race leader. Michael Guest in 2nd. Zachary Workman in 3rd. Christopher McCullough in 4th. Timothy Moore, your top 5. Then Johnny Avila, who somehow, despite getting spun around out of turn 4, he's got a clean race car. He's P6. Garrett Maines has moved up to P7. Very quiet effort for Maines. I think that's what he's looking for here. Noah Bitts, 8th. Jacob Dunn, 9th. Chris Papa, 10th. Then Nathan Rabideau, Bridger Olson, and Justin Hughes. Last ones inside your top 13. We're going to be watching that cut line in the next 5 laps. So we'll see if that changes dramatically, who gets in, and who's going to have to watch from the stands.
So I'll give you guys a bit of an inside view as we have to go green here. I was told some drivers don't want to pit here. They have damage. They want that track position more. That's why we're not seeing so many fast repairs.
That's a big point. You want to be at the front. You don't want to be, but with your back against the wall, trying to gain positions very late. Green flag back in the air. Final 5 laps of heat number 9. And no surprise, Rachel Whiteford, that Michael Guest and Malik Ray work together back to turn 1.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be working in that team environment that's going to really benefit them in this. Trying to hold it together. But looking behind them, they want to have another incident here. They're really pushing this. They've got a lot of cars moving at different paces. Very unstable 3 lanes there, and it's only going to benefit the outside.
And Noah Bitts is going to get swallowed on the inside. Garrett Maines going to give him a huge push. Nathan Rabideau right behind them, trying to shove Maines to the front of the field, but there is absolute dissipation on the very bottom. That outside completely collected. Malik Ray going to come out of turn 4 and lead him with 4 laps to go from Daytona in Heat 9. Maines again, shot to the back end of Noah Bitts, heading for turn 1. And if for Nathan Rabideau and Garrett Maines right now, Derek, of course, you're going to be in the show if you stay like this, but you have to be careful if you're Maines. You're giving a huge push to Noah Bitts. One wrong move, and you're into the outside wall. You're getting caught up in a wreck, but the duo are going to work together. Cars around on the back straightaway. Steve O'Font and Justin Hughes.
Well, not only that, Kenneth, the thing to think about is there's prize money on the line here. Are you willing to stick behind a 2nd or 3rd and just make it to the duels on Saturday? Or do you want to make the prize money? That's a question in some people's minds. Everyone races differently around it. So let's see what happens here. We got a new leader.
Definitely do. That's Noah Bitts. He gets another shot on the back end from Garrett Maines. They're stacking up on the bottom with Nathan Rabideau and company. Malik Ray, Michael Guest going to lead them into turn 1 with 3 laps to go. They have the 15 of Christopher McCullough right behind them. Bitts will take over the lead. Maines with a push, and that wiggles him out of line. Here comes Maines for the race lead.
Yeah, really going for it here and trying to make a move up there. The 87 is really strong here for Bits, as the 7 as well, pushing Ray, really giving him a good hit. Top side really strong, bottom side not as put together, but we've got a lot of bobbling there, 15, kind of around the place.
And you can imagine for Malik Ray and Michael Guest, Derek, there's some frustration. Bitts got shoved out of line. He tries to block. Now here comes Nathan Rabideau with a move up top against Maines this way.
All right, here we are, side-by-side racing. Some of the tightest racing we've had. Coming down 2 to go, by the way. 2 to go. We are almost there. Well, I guess our second green flag finish tonight. Oh, they're 3 wide. They're moving. Oh, hold on to it.
Rabideau into the outside wall. They're all around. Malik Ray tries to lead him out. A huge crash takes out everybody. 4th on back. And this caution will end the race. And we'll have to decide once they cross the start-finish line who gets into the top 13, because that is, Rachel, almost everybody involved.
Yep, top lot were going great until they did that. That's going to call our race here. So Garrett Maines, I think, is going to have this one.
You know,
Garrett
guys,
Maines, wow.
and we'll see a replay or 2 of this, I'm sure, but there's a question to be had here. Could that be the win factor you guys talked about earlier? Could that be force feedback? We don't talk a lot about that as a thing in iRacing. Let's watch it again here. They're going to go from 2 wide to 3 wide. And it's right here. Beautiful Mountain Dew pitch black machine, by the way. Saw on the camera shot there a second ago. Here's the 3 wide. It's a lot of movement. I don't know if that's more the wind, if that's just nerves, if that's force feedback driving the car. But that's how it goes. And look at this rolling back. Is that Melillo? I think it is. Can't tell from that angle.
Look at Melillo go through that entire wreck, and where does he sit? In P4. He will make the duels. He will make the duels for the 5th annual Podium 500. Here's a look at the 53. He was fired back in the mid-pack and way behind this first pack entering the corner. And I'm going to have to give credit to Eric Messer, because he said Melillo has a way of getting into the transfer spot at the last second. I believe in him, LOL. Look at this avoidance. Through all the smoke, through all the chaos, Melillo is through.
Yeah, really got it there. This was a fantastic dodge there. Oh, the mess happened at the right moment for some of these guys.
So we'll update you on this. It looks like Melillo will be pushed back to 6, but nonetheless, he is going to make the LCQ. He's going to advance. He will not be eliminated. And so as they cross the stripe, we'll try to get official confirmation on who finishes where. Of course, that big crash. They got so many drivers, shuffled the order so quickly. Garrett Maines, though, is confirmed. The winner of heat number 9. Malik Ray will follow through in 2nd. Jacob Dunn. So, Derek, it turns out like he's going to make the duels for the Podium 500.
Yeah, you guys were watching the wreck. I was watching one car. I don't know what happened in that wreck.
It looks like it all works out. Brandon Holder 4th. Christopher McCullough 5th. So, all of them will make the duels. Justin Melillo will follow through to the LCQ. So will Kevin Fries, Chris Papa, Nathan Rabideau, Michael Guest, Luis Calderon, Johnny Avila, and Heath Snyder. There's the last driver in. And then the first driver out, Ryan Johnson in, the number 38. So we'll get you the full results here from Daytona in heat number 9. And it's all Garrett Maines at the head for FGR Excel iRacing. And with the brand new team for the Coke Series, he ends up as the winner in this one. $50 richer, he advances to the duels of the big race. Malik Ray, 2nd. It'll be Jacob Dunn in 3rd. Brandon Holder in 4th. Christopher McCullough, your top 5. Justin Melillo, P6. Kevin Fries for 7th. 8th will go to Chris Papa. Nathan Rabideau, 9th. And Michael Guest, Rachel Whiteford, the last one in the top 10.
It certainly is. Behind that, it is Luis Calderon, Johnny Avila, Heath Snyder, Ryan Johnson, 14th. Timothy Moore is 15th. Zachary Workman, 16th, with Robbie Clavey. Justin Hughes, Ryan C. White, and Stephen Kurosek in 20th.
21st on back will be Justin Winters in his machine, Noah Bitts, George Williams, Bridger Olsen, 24th. The last drivers on the lead lap, then followed by Scott Tompkins, Donnie Johnson, Steve Alfont, and of course Ryan Hill and Brian Baker, obviously not in this heat. So last driver, Steve Alfont in the number 20. Everybody 14th on back are unfortunately going to have to go home. That's the results in heat number 9. One more heat to go as we continue coverage of our route to decide the field for the 5th annual Podium 500 in 2023. Don't go anywhere. We've got more next on Podium Esports.
All right, we are back here for the 10th and final heat, qualifying heats for the 2023 Podium 500. Derek Watson, Rachel Whiteford in the booth. Kenneth Bueno will be back in a second to hang out with us. But Rachel, here we are, the last one. What are your thoughts?
Hope this one goes green.
Yeah, well, you know what? We've seen a couple so far tonight that have gone green. Most are all the way through. We've seen a couple caution-filled heats tonight. So, we just saw that last exciting one with the big finish and, lots of free wide racing. This, to me, is kind of the sleeper heat, Rachel. We have a couple, esports, eNASCAR names in here. But overall, this is the race I think anyone could win as qualifying is underway right now. Who knows what can happen? We know every heat is a wild card. So, of course, the people here tonight are going to advance on Saturday to the LCQs and the duels, and then the big 500 on Sunday, Rachel.
Yeah, they are. So it's going to be really, really cool to see what happens with this. A lot of names here, but there's a lot of opportunities as well for anybody else who's seen that happen so far. We've seen Rex completely change a race, so let's make this last one a big one, but not the big one. We already had that.
We've had the big one a few times already. Qualifying is more than halfway over. And we're seeing those drivers make that one lap run. Now, earlier, Rachel, you talked about how big that is. That one lap run versus the 2 lap run. Because on super speedways, we're used to winding up those engines and getting them revved up and getting that second lap faster. How different is it to run 1 lap versus 2?
It's not the potential of the car. With a 1 lap, you get that out lap, which is not a full lap, and then you get the actual timed lap. Now, if you're actually running 2 laps, which is standard, you go out, you run your first lap around the top, you just build speed, build momentum. It's just part of the engine. It's also part of just momentum of the car. You just run it as hard as possible, keep it as straight as possible. Coming down for your actual on lap, you get a little bit of a boost from kind of dropping down off that top, down into the groove, as it were. And you run that thing as hard as you can, straight on the bottom. And it does make a big difference to the lap.
Yeah, it can make a big difference. There's different qualifying lines you want to take. You don't want to run the bottom all the way around. You want to let the car drift up just a little and pick up that horsepower. It is a skill that, we've seen tested throughout different iterations of the Podium 500. And excited to see what happens. We're about 15 seconds here left in qualifying. Then we'll take you through our grid for the 10th and final heat. And we're going to wrap it up tonight here. Guys, once again, thanks for hanging out all night long on Podium 2. Throughout the rest of the weekend, you'll be able to see us over on Podium Esports on Twitch and see the rest of this event unfold. Well, Rachel, I was going to say qualifying is done. As you see the winner circle, someone will end up there on Sunday and have a nice prize waiting for them. But let's go ahead and run through the grid and be ready here. With a time of 49.799, Frank D'Angelo is your pole sitter here for this heat. He'll start on the inside of Hunter Reynolds, P2. You have Chris Wilhite in 3, Michael Sturgill in 4. Agnel Phillip, a Road to Pro driver from last year, will start in P5 with Joshua Malam in P6. Brian Baker and Alex Bell, 7 and 8. Chris Akers and Dylan Bazin are P9 and P10.
11th tonight is going to be Chris Simard with Tyler Bunting in 11th. 12th, sorry. We have 13th is Steven Sempion. Kenneth Redinger is 14th. Jeff Jensich is 15th place. Ryan Hill, 16th. Dakota Curtis, 17th. Brandon Zimmerman in 18th. Jacob Didai in 19th. Charles Phelps in 20th. With Anthony Keys, Tom Morano, Chandler Paul, and Gavin Jones behind them.
So there's potentially a 24-car field. It looks like everybody on that list is here for this session. So 24 cars. Let's go ahead and run through the race format. I think I jumped it earlier by accident, and I apologize for doing that. It's 20 laps, in case you didn't know. There will be no green-white checkers. The fixed setup race. Everyone has the same exact setup under the hood. 1 fast repair, and of course 17 incident points, and you are done. Now, Rachel, top 5 go right to the duels on Saturday afternoon. If you're P6 through P13, you have to go to the LCQ Saturday morning. And everyone else gets to be a viewer on Podium Esports all weekend.
Yeah, you really want to lock in just for security, because the LCQs are going to be very hectic. It is going to be worse than this.
Yeah, definitely are those. Starting with the LCQs, I believe we have green-white checkers, so the races will be a little bit more chaotic at the end. But our pace car driver has their field under control here, and they're down the back straight already. And now the nerves are setting in. You're the last field of the night. You had to watch all day long. Here's a quick question for you, Rachel. If you were in a spot where you were driving in the event this year, would you want to be first, like Heat 1 or Heat 6 tonight, rather? Or do you want to be Heat 10? Do you want to have all the experience of watching what happens in the races and prepping ahead? Or do you just kind of want to be, I don't want to say dumb, but you know what I mean? And not have all that nerve setting in.
I want it over with. I want it done because, frankly, we've seen 4 different races tonight out of the 5 we're going to be seeing tonight. There haven't been 2 alike. It's super speedway racing. It could literally change in a second. There's nothing to really worry about in terms of learning. I think they know what to expect here. It's just time to go racing.
Yeah, beautiful shot overhead there of this beautiful, beautiful complex known as the Daytona International Speedway. And pace car driver is down. For the last time tonight, the green flag is out, and we are green here at Daytona. Frank D'Angelo leading us around. Big wreck already. Caution's out. I was waiting to see if we get the back straight before we picked up the commentary again, but they did not wait that long in this heat, Rachel. And there's some big smoke and big calamity here out of turn number 2 here at Daytona.
Yeah, they wanted to give us some excitement quickly in this one, I think, and it has exactly been that. Could be a long race to end us out at the start.
Yeah, we'll wait and see what happens here. Beautiful paint scheme, a Jeff Gordon throwback there for that car. I'm going to guess it's a case of pushing the pusher, but let's find out here. This will be into the corner. Below your screen here. Oh, someone has moved up really quick. I'm going to guess he got bumped. It's that red, white, and blue car. I believe he shoved the competitor in front of him. And we'll wait and see what happened to get a different angle. But that's a big wreck here in turn number 1.
He absolutely is, and it's going to really kind of set a tone for this race. It kind of caution so fast in turn 1. That will make a big difference here. It's going to change how these guys race, because if they don't get a good run, no one's going to be up to speed. Everyone's going to be a little bit wobbly the whole time.
There's a beautiful wreck avoidance by Dakota Curtis. All right, well, first caution is now already, well, not done with, but certainly underway. I was trying to get a car number here, and I was kind of focusing on 2 things. So I was quiet for a second, but it's going to be heat number 10 to start with a big wreck. Lots of fast repairs used, I would assume. Look at the bottom of your screen. Right there it is, that car going up there. That's that Bass Pro Shops tracker car. That's who gets shot up the track, and there's nowhere to go for him or anyone on that top line, Rachel.
No, not at all. Once you go up there, it kind of blocks the whole line of the track. Typically it's self-cleaning unless you turn right.
Here we go. Here's a ride from the top side from Hill. And here's what happens in a wreck like this. You want to think, oh, I could avoid that. But watch how fast he's going to come up here. Watch how fast it's going to happen in front of you. And just like that, there he is. And there's nowhere to go. Oh, actually, Hill, hold on. No, never mind. Start saying, maybe he cleared it. Maybe it was self-cleaning, but he just caught a little bit. Oh, never mind. The second hit was worse than the first one, Rachel.
Yeah, that'll happen, unfortunately. They're never pretty, especially in a race.
It's that number 55 car there. Unfortunate for him. So now becomes that question now, do you take the fast repair now, or do you, hold on to it? I mean, we had that talk in the last race at 10 to go, and you said maybe you take the fast repair, but now we're basically 19 to go, Rachel. Now do you hold on to the fast repair?
No, I take it regardless. I've had a big wreck. You're not going to get all the damage repaired and not lose a lap. You've got 20 laps total. There's no time to not take the fast repair, because you're just going to lose time regardless.
Fair enough. I mean, I agree you'll lose time, but I think if you hold on to that fast repair for another caution or 2, you hang on to the back of the field, maybe you can, wait and see. I don't know. But yeah. All right. Well, with that and everything that happened, I guess we should say at the moment of caution, Hunter Reynolds was your race leader. He was by Frank D'Angelis. Michael Sturgill's in 3rd. Chris Wilhite is in 4th. And then Brian Baker will round out your top 5 here in heat number 10 so far.
Yeah, well, indeed. And this, of course, means we're going to see a bit of a shake-up. Some guys from further back have come forwards. That could definitely make things a little bit different here. We'll have to see how it plays, but qualifying doesn't really tell you a lot about a driver's talent at a super speedway, just the smoothness. Anyone can drive smooth, but try doing it in a crowd.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is everyone, these guys make this stuff look so easy when it's done so well. Super speedway racing is one of the hardest skills I think you can have in oval racing because it's just split-second decisions can change everything. One fraction of a move of your steering wheel, is unfortunate. So we'll wait and see what happens. All right, well, looks like the lights on the pace car are out. We are green this time by. So we're about to go green. Let's see if we can make it more than a lap or more than a quarter of a lap this time, Rachel.
Yeah, I'll often describe super speedway racing as formation flying in a tunnel.
Yeah, that's about right. Except in a formation flying, they're not really trying to get around you. Here, they are.
Yeah, very true, very true. Well, we're stacked up here, ready for this restart. Let's hope they can manage more than a quarter of a lap this time.
Well, Hunter Reynolds, of course, is the leader. He did have lane choice. He has chosen the inside lane. Some of us might think that's a questionable decision, Rachel, given the fact that we've seen the outside lane be the dominant one all night. Do you think he just prefers to drive on the inside, or what do you think would cause a driver to pick the inside lane here?
I think it depends. I think he's going to want to try and get that jump early and then go up the lane. You might have a little bit better chance of getting some traction. It's slightly flatter, so we'll see.
And here they are in turn number 4. Going to come out of it. Our pace car driver is going to get a little bit of pace here and pull down. Here we go. Be ready. Any moment now, Barney the flagman is going to wave that green flag vigorously. There it is. And green flag. We're back under green for heat number 10. And we got 2 big lanes of cars ready to push to see who can get to the front and be victorious. So far, that bottom lane is pushing harder. They got Reynolds out to the front here. And Podium about a 1 to 1.5 car gap lead over the high lane, but the high lane will get the run here out of 2. They're going to stay in line. From this camera angle, you can see that both these lines are pretty deep. Everyone up, there's some movement up. That's what will cause that bottom lane to falter. And before you know it, you might see DeAngelis back to the front here, maybe out of 4. But so far, the bottom lane's holding its own, Rachel.
It is. It's actually a pretty good run on right now. Top line's a bit tighter together. If they can get a good run going here, they will have a real opportunity, but it's going to come down to just that. They've got to hook up and work together. It takes a whole lane, 6-7 cars to really get that steam going.
Look at that push that Michael Sturgill has to the back of that car for Hunter Reynolds. He is all over him. Now, what will happen is within a lap or 2, there it is already. He had to back off. You can't keep pushing like that, Rachel, without overheating that car. That's a concern these drivers have all weekend long.
It is, and they need to be very careful with it, but you've got to try and keep that pressure. Often, it is actually beneficial to kind of sit off if you're the kind of the car back in a line of more than 2. And by letting off, you can actually go forwards. If you back onto the bumper of the guy behind you, you'll tend to go forwards a lot faster.
I don't want to go the whole race without mentioning my best pun of the night that I've seen. Hunter Reynolds has a wrap in that car. Why would it not be the Reynolds wrap? That's a beautiful look. We'll see if we can get a better shot of that later. But that's a beautiful pun. Nice job, Hunter Reynolds there.
Wrecking.
And we're wrecked behind him, and that's going to be, oh, hello. That's, we'll wait and see what happens here. We were busy looking at that beautiful Reynolds wrap paint scheme. I think we missed what happened behind us.
It was the 1 clipped the 4 and sent him down into the 75, unfortunately. But the 1 kind of came along and just dropped down across the line. Had a huge run, tried to go up the middle, kind of came up as the 45 came off the wall, and they collided.
That's the 1 of Chris Wilhythe and the 4 of Chris Akers making contact. And other than that, there's some cars off the track under the yellow, but no big damage compared to the last wreck. Just a couple cars involved. And we'll keep on racing once this comes back out here. You know, the fun of this event we talked about a couple times already, Rachel, for us as commentators, for the viewers, is this is sort of like that smorgasbord of talent from everywhere. You got Agno Phillip from Road to Pro. You've got, drivers like Dakota Curtis from Monday Night Racing or MPI. Earlier we had Lawson Peel. We had teammates and friends of ours throughout the night. This is such a cool event because it allows anyone to watch. But here's Morano here. Let's watch and see what happens. Oh, I'm gonna get hit twice. You see the front hood there's already been up a little bit on that car, on that contact.
Yeah, it's going to happen from the side contact to the wing there. It's really going to do that to the car, unfortunately, but yeah, hood damage, that's a signal you ain't going anywhere fast.
No, that's true, yeah. But this is a great event. I'm glad it's put on again this year. This is the 5th annual one, you know, earlier in the month, I think, on the Podium Esports social medias. We showed all the logos throughout the years and how they've evolved and how this event has evolved. So I'm just glad to see it back. I'm glad to see it in action. And let's see if anyone's going to pit here. I don't think so, unless they have damage, but everyone's going to drive run on by pit entrance here.
Yeah, we'll have to see how this plays. It's kind of a tricky one, honestly. This has been a really, really grueling night for these guys. They've really had to been put in a very difficult situation because it's not a lot of time. There's a lot of work to do. 20 laps isn't even a stint in these cars, so this really is a sprint race, and it's a sprint race where you're entirely dependent on everybody else.
Yeah, real quick, sorry. There's our
race.
Yeah, sorry, real quick.
Yeah.
There's our logo throughout the year. You can see the Podium 500 and how it's evolved. The 19, the 20, the 21, the 22, and the 23. I haven't asked Rachel. I'm putting you on the spot. Do you have a favorite of those logos on the screen? Do you have a favorite? I do, but I'll wait and see if you do first.
I would say 2019. Actually.
Oh, really? I love that 2022 logo. I thought that was I thought the 22 logo was. I mean, this year's cool with the 3 rings and the 3 color cars, but the 2022 Podium 500, that's my favorite. Everyone has a favorite. It was up on our Twitter and our Instagram earlier this month, asking what your favorite was. You can still put it in the Twitch chat right now if you have a favorite one. But as you can see between Rachel and I, it's okay to have different opinions.
It is, yeah. No, it depends. I think they're all pretty darn good. So it really helps.
Just kind of looking in chat. Some people say 21 and 23. Apparently, some people do not like the 2022 logo, and that's okay. I thought that art style was really cool. But yeah, there they are again. You can take a look and see how it's evolved over time and how this event has grown and changed and whatnot. So guys, thanks for tuning in. I believe this time by we're going to be, I think, 1 to go. Wait and see what the pace car tells us. Yep, we see him doubling up here. So Rachel, for the 3rd time here within the first 10 laps, on lap 11, we're going to go green. Now, it's almost go time. That's the weird thing. We talked about how short these stints are. It's basically go time for these competitors.
It is. It definitely is. We're halfway. There's 10 to go. This is everything time. This is the mad minute, but it's going to be the mad maybe 20, 25 minutes. Who knows, depending on how long this thing goes for us tonight. But it is. It could definitely go a lot longer. I mean, it's 8 minutes, isn't it, for a yellow stint? So it adds up. For context, we've been going 3 hours already.
Yeah, right. We've been here a while. It hasn't felt that long. I was surprised when I looked down at the clock during our last break and was like, oh, wow, look what time it is. So let's talk about this right now. On the cut line, 32 of Dakota Curtis would be in. The 94 of Jacob Dubai would be in. The 11 of Dylan, let's try it again. The 11 of Dylan Basin would be out. And the 95 of Tyler Bunting would be out. Those are P14 and 15. Ultimately, on your ticker on the left-hand side, that's sort of the big race. Obviously, we want to know who wins and who finishes where. But that's sort of your cut line when we finish here, either under caution or under green at the end of lap 20.
Yeah, I think it is. So we have to see where they can come through with this one. But we're going green halfway here, so this will be a big run, I think. Let's hope they keep it clean here.
We saw some hints of it last time. We saw some great pushing. The pace car driver is down. Barney, the flagman, has that green flag in his hand. And Hunter Reynolds this time takes the outside. And the green flag is out. And now we are back under green here at the Podium 500. Heat number 10.
Managed to get through turn 1, so it's an improvement on lap 1 here. We'll see if they make it to turn 2. So far they are. It's a little bit jumpy at the back, but they're keeping it together somewhat so far. Hit the back stretch here into 3 and 4. I'm sorry if I sound exhausted at this point, but I've hit a wall. I started this at 7:30 tonight. Sorry, 7:30 Eastern, which was 12:30 midnight for me. It's now nearly 4:30 in the morning, and there are 3 wide at the front. Please don't wreck, guys.
Are 3 wide. And even still, that means the 2
Oh, but they're bumping. No. They survived.
They did survive. So I say the bottom lane, top lanes are still almost side by side. There's a little bit of gap between the 7 and that front car there, but that's going to close up quickly. But Hunter Reynolds leads another lap here in heat number 10, hoping to lead more laps on that way to the end of lap 20. That top lane has formed up here, Rachel. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4.5 cars longer. Almost 5 or 6 cars now to that bottom lane. That bottom lane has now split into 2 lanes, and they need to get it together, or they're not going to have success here. But here comes that Exalta Pro Max scheme here to the bottom, and they're going to see if they can get something moving.
There's a lot of jumbling, wobbling, and bumping in the corners here on the bottom row. Oh god, it's about to get messy out of 4. These guys need to get that together on the bottom, or they're going to be in major trouble. They are all over the place.
So right now, this is Hunter Reynolds' race to win. Now, what he needs to worry about is these other guys behind him want to win more. Do they want that cash prize? Remember, Rachel, it's $50 to the win here. We're 8 to go at Daytona, and anything can still happen.
Anything kind of will happen, and the 3 wide. Oh, okay, they wrecked the inside. We're
That's
okay.
Ryan Hill.
Thank God they smushed that into the inside safe barrier there.
He took the bus
Thank you,
stop.
guys. We're not in the Rolex 34, guys. Come on.
Oh, Ryan Hill's slow there to hit the wall, unfortunately. Let's see it again here. What's going to happen to him? My map's going to come down. Just kind of jumbled up that line and can't hold it still. And he's going to get a bump. And across someone's nose, and they're both going to save it, I think. But you see Ryan Hill's going to barely, you get a little bit of airborne. It's like a skateboard of the X Games right there. Well, meanwhile, what's going on up front is more the same. Not Ryan Reynolds. Sorry, that's a different person. Hunter Reynolds is leading this pack around. I'd like to see Ryan Reynolds run the Podium 500.
Absolutely. Let's get Ryan Reynolds in. Ryan, if you're watching, you're not watching this, are you? But no, I was going to say if he's watching this, you should totally come and enter. We'd let him in. I don't know if they would let him in, so I can't make that statement. But Ryan Reynolds, please run the Podium 500.
All right, well,
better than Wrexham Football Club.
There we go. All right, well, once again, the question will be when these drivers behind him want to pull out in line. So behind him is Michael Sturgill, Brian Baker, Joshua Malam, and Chris Akers. That's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Here comes a bottom lane. We got drivers moving down now. They want to see if they can make it happen. That is that number 4 car leading. That's Chris Akers. Moved down. Now the 14 has moved down. That's Joshua Malam. Now this line's going to have momentum, Rachel.
It is, but the line behind all of them is a huge mess. And they're wrecking to the inside.
Wrecking behind. That's off the track. Off the track. We're going to see if race control will let it go. So far, we're being told yes, that will be no caution. And now that bottom lane has taken the lead. That's now the number 14 car. That is Joshua Malam to the lead here in heat number 10.
Yeah, we've got the 1 at the rear. So we've got like the top 12, 13 cars here. The only real survivors so far. Everyone else has dumped it here. There's a few stringers, but it's all single cars really. It's just this front 12 cars in a pack. This could go to the end the way this is looking.
And I believe, Rachel, you're exactly on the number. I'm trying to count it as they move around, which is hard to do. We're at 13 or 14 cars in this lead pack. If these guys were all content and aware of that, that might be the problem. If they're aware of it, but if they're all content to make the races on Saturday, you don't need to. If you just race in a line, you're, oh my gosh, there's 3 wide. He's not content. There's the 14 of Malam trying to make the move again. And never mind. I certainly, if they're content to make the race on Saturday, they can sit in line but no, they want to race it out. That's what we do. We're racers. We can't sit in line.
It's not that. They want to lock in. They don't want to LCQ.
And that's true as well. I understand that.
Oh boy. Come on, guys. Take this to the end.
4 laps to go at Daytona. as we've heard that famous rock and roll song say, we're at the point of no return. If a caution comes out now, the race is effectively over. Watch this beautiful push that Chris Samard is getting. There it is. Yellow flag is out, and we are done. Yellow flag is right on the pit entrance wall. That's the number 3 car. That is Brian Baker, who will not make the race. Let's take a look here and see what's going to happen. You see Baker here on the bottom of the track. Gonna show, oh man, this moved up way too far. What is that? Car must have got loose out from under him, and he just went up the track, and then it's just car. So it's actually going to be the car, I believe, who shoots back up through the grass, Rachel. That's going to trigger the caution, but I'm not positive on that.
I don't think so. I think it was the car that was actually backwards on the main line before.
There it is.
Going down
Okay.
towards grass.
And it is. All right. Well, that is basically going to end this race. So in a moment, we'll take a look here. We can tell you right now that Chris Samard, who you just saw that back end view of a second ago, is your winner for heat number 10. He will. Oh, there's the pace car deciding he wants to lead the race. Chris will win $50 for winning this heat, and Chris says, "No, I'm the leader." It goes right around the pace car here. He'll win $50, and he'll be in the duels on Saturday.
He certainly will. Wow, this is the final heat, and it ends in a caution. It's kind of sad, but it's been a very busy one today. Wow.
You know what? This may have ended in a caution, Rachel, but this was very, very good racing. They were moving in lines, they were making in lines. That's what you want to see from a Daytona 500 or a Podium 500. Any race at Daytona is when people are willing to get out of line and make a move to make things happen.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and I think that they all took that a little too hard today.
There you go. All right, well, we're going to pace it around here and just officially end the race. Of course, we will not get back green before this ends, so we'll wrap this up, and then we will look at our official results and see who out of here is going to make the duels and the LCQs. Dakota Curtis there in 8th. Dakota Curtis, of course, known from Monday Night Racing and also known from the MPI series, so he looks to be in an LCQ on Saturday. Dakota does a lot of work in the background for those leagues and does help with Podium Esports as well. So nice to see Dakota doing well.
It absolutely is, and I'm really glad to see that. So obviously we'll see what happens when we actually come out of this, but it's been impressive really to see the quality of racing tonight. It's been fantastic.
It definitely has. It's been a lot of fun racing. As you said, the time has flown by, Rachel. It's now about 3.5 hours since we started, and I would not have guessed it.
Don't remind me.
Oh, I've had a lot of fun out here. It's been great. The time has flown by. We've had different people come in and help us out. Joe Peak came in and helped out before you had to go off and do coverage on the main Podium channel for a MPI series. Kenneth Bueno's been hanging out with us all night. We have a team in the background helping with the social media with Eric Messner. Gary Sexton's been producing the show all night long. This is a team event that happens that you guys may not realize how much work goes into the Podium 500. And it's a time to take a second and thank everyone, the commentators, the producers, the admins, the social media, all the work in the background that happens. So thank you to everyone who's involved with this event. We're not done. We're not even close to done. We're going to wrap this race up. We're going to go through results. We're all going to get some sleep tomorrow. And we're back at it on Saturday. And then the main race is on Sunday. And we'll be done well before the big game. You're not picking. You get both on Sunday.
You absolutely do, and I can't wait to see what will come with this. It's been an incredible night of racing. We have LCQ Saturday, and then we have the big one Sunday, like you said, and I can't wait to watch.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch either. So, by the way, to everyone on the bottom of the screen who's been following the channel all night long, there's been the alerts there on the bottom of the screen next to where it says Heat 10 or Heat 9 or whatnot. Thank you to all the follows tonight. This is on Podium 2. You can also find great action from Podium Esports as well as the main Podium Esports channel. Thank you guys so much for all that you do and helping support and tell all your friends about Podium Esports. We do appreciate it. We're right around here for the last lap, and finally, after what feels like probably forever, Chris Samard's going to see the checkered flag here, Rachel, as they come around this time.
We should do this time by, and wow, it has been a real ride. But we'll find out what happened with the LCQ on Saturday. That's going to be the last chance. That race is going to be nuts. Absolutely nuts. If that thing is not all cautions and multiple green white checkers, I'll be surprised.
And they are
Why am I
longer
surprised?
races.
Because I'm not calling it.
And they are longer races, so therefore we can have some more strategy play out. You don't feel the need to get to the front quite as quick. You have more time to do it. We'll see if that helps out on Saturday at all. But here's the moment right now. Heat number 10.
No, Jacob, we got sort of across the line there, but Jacob did I just faked pit road on the last lap in pace car.
Almost pulled a Mark Martin on him, didn't he? Yep. Well, with that moment, that's your Heat 10 winning moment for Chris Simard. Congrats on the P1 there. That's $50 and a spot in the duels on Saturday. Congrats to him. You see him speed around here. See if we can, what we've not seen all night, Rachel. Let's stick with it for a second. I'm going to bug our producer, Gary Sexton, to do it. Let's see if Chris is the first one all night to throw it in the grass and do some donuts. When we saw a real lack of donuts and burnouts last night, and we've been moving from heat to heat tonight, but can Chris bring it around here and throw it in the grass? What do you think?
I will see. I don't know if he will or not, but we are at the end of this one. It has been an impressive night of racing. We'll see if we can. We'll see if he does anything, but we will have a look at our post-race results.
No grass. I was waiting for it. Oh, hold on. We're slowing down. All right, right there you go. Oh, there it is.
Hey, on the grass.
And a small spin out there. See if he lays into it here. All right. Well, here's your results. Chris Simard is P1. Jacob Dubai is P2. Brandon Zimmerman is P3. Agno Phillip, who rode the pro driver from last year, is P4. And Michael Sturgill is P5. Those are the gentlemen locked into the duels on Saturday, Rachel. Then you got Joshua Milam, Chris Akers, Dakota Curtis back there in P8, Jeff Yenish in P9, Gavin Jones at P10, Charles Feltz 11, Kenneth Reedinger in 12th, and Tom Morano in P13. They are locked into the LCQs. And then Rachel, who did not make them?
Unfortunately, Stephen Stemkin did not make it, followed by Chris Whittle, Tyler Bunting, Alex W. Bell, Chandler Paul, Hunter Reynolds in 19th there. We've got Brian Baker in 20th, Dylan Basson, Ryan Hill, Anthony Keys, and Frank DeAngelis.
Frank DeAngelis, of course, led some of this race, but unfortunately will finish last. Well, guys, what a night. Thank you to Rachel for being here all night with us. Thank you to Joe and Kenneth, as said earlier. Come back on Saturday, and we will be good to go. All right. Well, I believe, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for our coverage tonight on Podium 2 of this Podium 500 qualifying heats. Thank you to everyone for all that you do here and for being here part of this. We'll see you on Saturday. And thank you so much, and have a good night.